For sure, forsooth, good sir, where beeth the lavatory where I can get high off of the cocaine? Was that good?
I just wanted you to improv something. All right, cool. Yeah, we're ready to go. This is Media Break. You give us 3 minutes, and we'll give you the world. Good morning. I'm Lauren Stile with Robert, Robinson. Top story: Rob poops his pants.
That's a goddamn lie. What? See, I was with you until you just blatantly. I mean, I'm not the one that poops all the time, so we can fact check that right now because I got the receipts. We can just roll the tape on that.
Oh, it's so good to have you here in our amazing studio.
Back in the studio, y'all.
Back in the studio.
My baby's in the backseat, reading a magazine.
Freud has a cancer. Cancer is crime. Turn and roll.
As you know, we've entered into a contract with the city to run local law enforcement.
We were able to save the left arm.
What? I thought we agreed on total body prosthesis. Now lose the arm, okay? We get the best of both worlds. Onboard computer-assisted memory and a lifetime of on-the-street law enforcement programming.
Hey, Louis, it's Supercop.
This guy is really good.
He's not a guy, he's a machine.
What are they gonna do, replace us?
Murphy, it's you.
Go get him, boy.
Thank you.
Back up, pal!
Your move, creep.
The future of law enforcement. Robocop.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Yo, welcome, guys. Week 17.
Week 17.
Look at that.
We are 17 years old.
We're 17-year-olds. So
what shit were you getting into at 17?
I was. I don't know if I should say on this podcast. I mean, I've already indicted myself too much.
Yeah, we're very family friendly here.
Right.
We gotta keep it chill.
All I'm saying is that my middle name is Karma, and I spent a good portion of those years not living up to that name.
Just sinking it low.
Just not being good to the name is what I'm gonna say. But I'm doing better now. The 30s are your makeup years. It's where you get your karma back on track.
1997 for me, 1998 for you when you were 17.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because I left. I started UE in 99, September of 1999.
Yeah,
and I was 17 years old.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you started young.
Yeah.
You were a baby.
Yeah, I was. I was the baby in my class. It was me and I think maybe Plunkett and Bridget Titley.
Oh, you were 17 when I met you.
Yeah. I was
easily
a young boy.
impressionable.
Well, shit. I'd already had miles on me by then, motherfucker, so it wasn't even that.
I was like, look, I can break dance. You're like, I like you. I was like, perfect.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, this guy.
Watch this foreleg. Watch this foreleg right here.
This guy knows what he's doing.
Have you told anybody what this is yet? Or have you just been talking?
Because there's definitely some people who just randomly just like clicked on it and they're like, what am I listening to?
This nonsense.
This is a 2-hour podcast based around knitting.
Based around what?
Knitting.
Kill yourself. Shit. I wish I did have that skill set. It's one of those skills that my mom used to crochet. She was one like these super crocheters, and I just never picked that skill set up.
Yeah.
I wish I had though.
Yeah, it's funny. I can't hear you through the mic. I wonder why.
You can't hear me through the mic?
No. I guess it doesn't matter. Wait, hold on. Maybe if I click this. Now can I hear you talk? Whatever. I bet I can hear you because you're here.
Hear you right across
That's
the
what's
room.
great, is that you're like right here.
Well, there's no luck in effect.
Too far away to slap me?
Yeah, definitely too far away to slap you.
But close enough to like make love with your eyes.
You got me booby trapped into this I don't even know what to call this desk right now.
It's the greatest desk you've ever seen.
We're sitting in this new configuration of we haven't done this before. By the way, this is what we're into. In case you tuned in and wondered, what the fuck what is this?
This is our special Robocop edition.
I'm looking forward to this talk about Robocop. Actually,
yeah.
I'm glad I suggested it last week.
I did not. Just general note on Robocop. I did not realize how big the franchise is.
Oh my god, it's huge. I mean, they made animated. There was an animated one for a little bit.
Two animated ones.
Let's see.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Which neither of which I watched.
I dabbled in the first one that they made because I think I remember it being on television when I was like into. Well, I'm still into cartoons. So I don't know.
Back when I was a kid.
Back when I was a child, and
since then,
have grown out of that phase. No, fuck that. I'm still watching cartoons.
Detroit, the near future. Officer Alex J. Murphy and his partner Ann Lewis fight to rid the decaying city of the criminal element which infests it. After being mortally wounded in the line of duty, Officer Murphy is outfitted by OCP with bulletproof titanium robotic parts and with computer-enhanced motor and sensory capabilities. He has become the ultimate super cop, Robocop.
What I was into this week, there's there's a good third of them that are animated.
Oh yeah, just
hitting
keep
cats.
tapping those beers. Beers are just, if you can't see this, which you can't because it's a podcast, beers are everywhere.
Beers are strewn about the place.
It's like
Beermageddon. Like if you want to think of it like a landfill, but with beer cans used as like beds and practical things, chairs, tables, even if you will. It's like that.
And you're doing kind of like a ballet dance, like around, not knocking those beers down.
I'm not pirouetting through.
It's even harder because there's a gigantic poop in your pants. But it's like rested right there,
We
like
really
in the
should
underwear.
we should have a counter for how many times you bring up poop.
Yeah, if you go back and listen to the first episode, we don't bring up poop once.
At all.
And
It's
slowly,
been a steady, like, if someone was to graph this, on a graph chart, it would definitely be a very,
do
very
you think my parents are
high
like,
bell curve. They're like,
because your parents probably aren't listening.
no, definitely not.
No,
Definitely
my
not.
parents are listening.
I think my mom is somewhere out of the country. I have no idea where, and my dad's definitely not listening.
Did you, do you want to do some news?
Yeah, let's jump in.
It's Channel 4 News at 6 o'clock.
Did you hear that Mark Hamill is going to play the voice of Chucky?
Yeah.
For Child's Play? I know that's kind of old news.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week.
No, we didn't. We missed it.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, definitely. I'm gung ho for it. Mark Hamill is like the voiceover god. Like, he can do no wrong in the voiceover world, as far as I'm concerned.
I think, like, because what's his face's movie just wrapped, Kevin Smith's movie, Jay and Silent Bob returns again, or whatever it's going to be called.
Whatever that is.
And I'll see that. But Mark Hamill was in the first Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, right?
Yeah, he was.
And it's kind of a joke. He plays what's his character in that?
I forget, but they have a lightsaber battle with
dicks.
bongs. Bongs. Yeah, they're bongs.
That's hilarious, though.
I mean, I had fun.
I have a feeling we're going to be rewatching those movies pretty soon.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so he was kind of a joke. I think only back then it was like.
I mean, I don't know if he was a joke. I think he was just like he's Mark. Like at that point, he'd been to so many Comic-Cons and had been like.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like like the fact that Kevin Smith got him to do that, plus to do that with any sort of like real gumption, like going in, like he directed Mark to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like. I think at that point, I don't think it was like a slight against him. I think he was doing fan service.
Yeah.
I think, which takes me into which I'll get into later. In one of the specific things I watched for what I was into this week, it dealt with fan service and how important fan service and fanship and fandom is.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of times we shit on fanboys, and we shit. I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. And
you have a fanboy in your pants right now?
Jesus Christ. If you're counting, I think that's 3.
I didn't mention anything about poop in your pants again.
Jesus Christ. But no, it's something I'm going to bring up later.
Yes. So, yeah, Mark Hamill. Because growing up, I always, there was Indiana Jones, there was Star Wars, and so you could see, there's Han Solo, and he's also Indiana Jones. Oh, look, and now he's regarding Henry, because that was my other favorite movie as a kid.
You were such a weird kid.
You're
a weird.
I really did like that movie as a kid. But then, like, Mark Hamill, you're like, what is Mark Hamill in? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he was in a movie I never saw, which I kind of want to see, The Guyver.
The Guyver?
Yeah, you never heard of that? It was based off an anime.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. GUYNVER.
It's supposed to be kind of pretty cool.
I saw it, actually.
Let me pull it up here real quick. I'm gonna pull up little Mark Hamill stuff. And not much else, right? Like, what else was Mark Hamill in besides the voice stuff, which he did later?
Guyver. Yeah, there was a live action version of this. I didn't see the anime. Apparently there is anime, but I saw a live action version of this that was
Yeah, where's Star Wars on here? I'm looking down at he did General Hospital. That was in 63.
Are you looking at his bio right now? His
Yeah.
IMDb, and what do they say? I mean,
I'm just looking for Star Wars. The Bill Cosby Show was Henry.
He was on the Cosby Show?
Yeah, in 1970.
On the Cosby Show.
Partridge Family, Cannon.
So he made a lot of guest appearances on TV before he got his like.
Okay, so Star Wars was 77, but before that, he did about 20 different things.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he did so much acting.
A journeyman,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
A journeyman.
The Manhunter. He did Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic.
Perfect.
Perfect for you cracking that beer.
As I crack another IPA.
Lucas Tanner, Delancey Street. What else? The City. Wizards. Voice as Mark Hamill. Shark. That was, I think.
Right.
Remember that cartoon, right?
Wait, say again?
Wizards.
Yes.
Yes. It was sort of like a heavy metal type cartoon thing.
And Guyver, like the movie that I saw, it's basically like an alien bio armor. It's basically like a kid finds this alien bio armor,
Yes.
and it grafts to his person, and he becomes a badass.
Right.
That's basically the premise of Guyver.
And that's 1991. So I guess if you're...
And then the second one came out. They made two of them. Mm-hmm. There was Guyver 1 and then Guyver 2 came out in 94. Like, you said 91? So
Yeah.
3 years later, they made a sequel.
So we might have to watch that.
I think we might.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I remember the first movie kind of vaguely in like that distant, oh, what's this? Let me...
Yeah.
And I found it entertaining. So, yeah, we should.
You know what else I didn't realize? He did a lot of the Miyazaki movies. Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind in 84. He did a voice for the mayor of...
Hamill did.
Pidgeot. Yeah, Hamill did. And he also did Castle in the Sky.
Oh, Castle in the Sky is awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing stories.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, he's been a voiceover king for a long time.
But he just was... Oh, and then he does Batman Mask of the Phantasm in 93.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then the animated series, wasn't he the voice of the Joker on the animated series?
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. That's 92 to 94.
Which
yeah.
another thing...
Jack Napier as well.
Which another thing made it into my what I was into list was
Hold on, don't. People are just
all right.
They're hanging
bated
by
breath.
their fingertips.
Bated breath is what
Fingertip.
is what I want to say here.
Can't wait to find out.
Look, it's me, the Crown Prince of Crime, and also your father. No, that's not true. That's impossible. Get used to it, kiddo.
Oh, so hey, remember we were talking about this Black Widow movie, right?
Yes.
Well, you know that David Harbour is part of the cast now.
Yes, I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Do you know who he's? I'm gonna extrapolate who I think he's playing because they announced who they announced.
I thought you were gonna ask, like, do you know who he is? I was like, come on, man.
No, he's Hellboy.
Yeah,
and
I question everything about that I know all the time because
Well, I mean-
now that we can see each other, I'm a little like paranoid that you're gonna realize that I don't know what I'm actually talking about.
I mean, I'm starting to get a little inkling, motherfucker.
But yeah,
put
a little tequila in my coffee here.
I think that actually works. But no, well, they announced the villain that she's facing down, or I guess one of them is Taskmaster, and I can only assume that they're gonna make Harbour Taskmaster. He would look the part. He's more appropriate stature wise, and it would be a great if he does end up being Taskmaster. I think it's a great casting for him.
Tell me about Taskmaster. Is it Master or Masker?
Master, Taskmaster.
Like he masters like somebody's like, hey man, we got a task for you. He's like, I'm the master.
Basically, he can copy anybody's moves. Like he has this photo, something to do with like he can see your moves and then be able to copy it and counter you.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man fights him a bunch. The Avengers face off with him a bunch. He's sort of like an atypical villain in the Avengers canon.
Okay.
So yeah. If that's who he's playing, then I think it's a great casting.
So it says that he's the ability mimicking Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He like if he watches you do something, he can then pick it up and do it exactly like you do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like one of the things is like he'll face off against Captain America all the time, and like him and Captain America will go toe to toe, and he would best Captain America.
So Captain America just basically has to come in with a really self-destructive task. Like,
I think you're missing the point here.
Like
not like I'm going to build you a shell, or not like here. Can you run to the grocery and pick up my laundry? That's not the kind of task.
Or masturbation addict. Like if Captain America came in and was like, look, I'm going to show you how to masturbate till you're dead. Then the Taskmaster would be like, I will mimic that.
Why?
And then he would die.
Why would Captain America want to masturbate until he dies?
No, Captain America stops right before he dies, but the Taskmaster masters the task of masturbating to death. And then...
Wow. Just wow. Just wow. I don't even know. Like, I'm looking you in your eyes.
I know.
It's been 7 weeks since I've done that. And I'm just,
this is so much harder when you're
yeah,
looking at each other.
yeah. You can't say that ridiculousness. You can say it when you're in the room by yourself. But I'm looking you in the eyes.
I would throw you something like this, and you just be like, anyways, moving on. But now you...
I was like, wait.
Now the eye contact. The eye contact is keeping you.
I don't even want to. I'm too bothered now.
All right, so in all reality... In all reality.
I was going to say, wait, as opposed to...
In all honesty, Captain America does a backflip. Taskmaster master
yeah,
do the backflip.
Say that 3 times fast.
Taskmaster. Taskmaster Bader. See, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're probably right. Okay, it's going to be... It also says that they were eyeing Andre Holland for the role. Who's Andre Holland?
I don't know who that is.
Let's look him up. Andre Holland.
Andre Holland.
He's a Holland. Oh, it's the dude from Castle Rock.
Didn't ever see it.
You know, he's I can't show you the thing.
Well, I mean, I have Google.
He's a very handsome black man, much like yourself.
Andre Holland.
But younger and sprier, and he's got some facial hair that doesn't have gray in it.
Oh, fuck you.
And it looks like his pants are not drooping, like he's got a poop in them.
Well, Jesus Christ! If you're counting at home, I think that's 4. That's 4.
All right. Okay. Let's see. I should pull up some news, but I don't have any.
Well,
right
I've got some video game news. Beep 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 beep. Bop, bop. So, Borderlands Remastered Game of the Year edition dropped.
Yes.
It looks like it should, with any remastered
Wait,
game.
The first Borderlands or Borderlands?
The first one.
Okay.
They remastered the first Borderlands game in a Game of the Year edition, and they released it, I guess, this week in conjunction. In conjunction to the trailer for Borderlands 3, which has gotten a release date. We get Borderlands 3 this year in September, 3 days before my birthday.
Okay.
That's not.
But this is the one you've already played because this is the remaster of it, right?
No, the Borderlands 3, the brand new one, is coming in September, but they just dropped the remastered this week. It was one of those like, this is what's coming out this week kind of thing. So,
okay.
So if you've never played Borderlands, this would be the game to pick up. The remastered version is basically a very shiny, very awesome product of what the original was.
Yes.
I would, but I played that game already.
You already played, yeah. Do you like remasters?
It depends on the remaster.
Yeah.
This last Call of Duty remaster was really dope. I picked it up, but I didn't play it. It's one of those like in my library type things where I'm like, God, man, I'm bored to death with everything right now, and there isn't a good game coming. When's Cyberpunk gonna drop?
Right,
and then you can just crack open your library, drop in the remastered
Red, right?
CD Red, yeah, the same guys who did
The Witcher.
The Witcher,
yeah,
and we all know how awesome that was. So
that was a slow burn for me. I bought The Witcher first, played it for like 5 hours, and was like, I don't know.
Oh, it's so
took it back.
You took it back?
Yeah,
I don't remember that. Really?
Actually, literally took it back.
Oh,
and got something else.
Bitch.
And then, like, a couple weeks later, everybody, or maybe a couple months later, everybody was still talking about The Witcher. And I was like, all right, I'll go out and try it. I think you were like, dude,
they killed it on so many levels.
Dude.
The fact that they didn't go through like a major distributor to get the game, like they built the whole thing in house, and then even after the game was released for 6 months, they gave you free shit, like free content that you could just log on and download, and you would get a whole other swath of gameplay, like 6 to 10 hours worth of gameplay that they were just giving to you for free after you had spent $60 on it.
Yeah. Like, I didn't jump back on it until Game of the Year edition came out, and that's why I had both. And I actually should still go back and play the DLC. Yeah,
dude, if you haven't played the DLC is some of the dopest parts of it.
I tried to go back, but the same thing always happens. Like, I'm like, what are these buttons do?
How do I throw a fireball again?
Exactly. No, exactly. Like, it's like this learning curve, but you're suddenly like, I don't know, so far into the game that's really, really hard.
Oh, sorry. My God, there's going to be a lot of sound that you got to edit out because I'm
this
strapped
was a
around
mistake.
this tiny-ass table.
This was a mistake. I should have put you here.
Milk was a bad idea.
It was a bad choice. So there was this news article that came out in IO9, and the heading is "Live Action Akira is finally moving forward."
Really?
And then in brackets it says "updated." Anyway, so they go on to talk about the Akira thing, Leonardo DiCaprio. They're trying to get a Taika Waititi. What the stop?
Now who didn't mute the media on their phone, asshole?
That was everything you need to remember from Game of Thrones 3rd season in 90 seconds. But then the update says a Warner Brothers representative has told us Akira has not yet been greenlit. So I'm like, what was the point of the article?
Dude, you got to check your sources, bro. You got to check those. Who wrote the initial one? Who said the initial thing? Like, what was the source?
The source is IO9. It's an article written by
IO9,
Beth Elderkin. I mean, it's a pretty like
reputable.
Yeah. They tend to know what they're doing. I hope that movie never comes out.
Really?
Yeah. See those right there? Look over your shoulder. Those Akiras right there. Have you ever read those?
The actual manga?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you have. Good.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is why we're perfect for each other.
Come on, son. I mean, why would? Man, all right, suck it up. All right, I'm going to segue into some. I'm going to segue into some VR news.
Knows me so well. I'm not done talking about Akira for a second.
Jesus Christ!
So years ago, I'm walking with Rami down Court Street.
Oh, right.
And this is right after Daisy was born. And he's like, yeah, I went in and auditioned for Tetsuo.
Right.
For Akira.
I remember talking about this like way back.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to decide if he was going to do it or not, and they were still kind of on the fence about doing it or not, and I was like, don't do it.
Really? You told him not to do Tetsuo?
Oh, yeah. An American... this is before all the whitewashing stuff had really blown up.
Fair.
Okay, they were going to do an Americanized version of it, and you can find the script online, and it's set in New York City.
Really?
Yeah, so they took all Japanese stuff out of it, and made it set in New York.
Okay.
And it was going to star Chris Evans
as
Kaneda.
You mean Captain America?
Yes, it was going to star Captain America before he was Captain America, basically, as Kaneda.
You can't see me, but I'm eye-rolling.
Yes, hard. They can probably pick that up through the mic. And it was, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt eventually was going to be... Tetsuo, yeah.
No shit. Honestly, that's not a bad look.
Type in Joseph Gordon-Levitt Akira and see what comes up. Because there's concept art in Chris Evans. You guys that are listening, you do the same. Or just wait.
Joseph. It's so bright in here, my screen. Like, my keys light up, so it makes it hard to see.
You can't see it.
I can't see where my keys are.
And actually, Captain America looks pretty dope as Tetsuo. But there's all this concept art. I mean, it's pretty fantastic looking. But it's... I just can't... Anyway, so the script's online. You can actually read the script, and it's awful.
Really?
It's really, really... I read about 10, 15 pages of it, and was like, and I'm an Akira fan, man. I grew up on Akira. And it's really bad.
Honestly, like if they were gonna whitewash anything with any success, I feel like this would be the movie to do it.
Yeah,
this would be the movie where you could whitewash it to high heavens and it still be successful, because it doesn't necessarily have to be Japanese characters. Just that story in and of itself is over the top and ridiculous, and and setting it in New York is perfect because Tokyo is the New York of
Japan.
Japan, you know what I'm saying?
I mean.
I understand.
In the same way that Ghost in the Shell is so specifically Japanese.
Yeah, I know. Because we talked to death the whitewashing of that movie with the simple choice of they just could have cast a Japanese actress and it would have all made sense.
So Akira was like if you go up there like number 15, I think I don't know, maybe like I was in 6th grade, so I must have been just 10 or 11 years old. So 1991.
Uh-huh.
And we went to a Books A Million, and my dad was like, yeah, just pick out a comic. And I went and I found it. It was like on the shelf. It was Akira number 15, yeah.
Wow.
And my dad bought it for me, and it's just like drops you right in the middle of the story.
Uh-huh.
Now, episode 16 is when Tokyo gets destroyed by Akira, basically.
Right.
Everything after that is sort of like Akira in the Apocalypse. So this was actually before the movie was released in the United States. It was right around the time the movie was about to come out. So I kind of got into Akira. We'd go to this place called the Book Broker, and my dad would buy me one issue of Akira every time we'd go, usually about once a week. And so I was reading them out of order because they didn't have all of them, and you were kind of like, I'd go from 15 to number 4 to number 7 to like number 18.
So you were getting the story broken up into
getting it totally broken up
pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it's had a huge impact on me as a writer and as kind of like a creative world builder and thinker, because I had to figure out how this story worked
with the pieces that you had already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so when we finally sat down to watch the movie on VHS, which had a really bad English translation, right? Which is still, whenever I watch the movie now, I still hear that translation, even though there's another, or it'd be Japanese, and I'll be reading on the subtitle. I can still hear that actor being like, Kaneda, whatever. It was a disappointment to me because I'd read a lot of the comic up to that point. I knew that a huge portion of it took place after Tokyo was destroyed. And that is honestly, a lot of the best stuff happens after Tokyo's blown up. And you've read it. So when the movie came out and you're 2 hours in and it suddenly ends, you're like, oh shit, like it was a letdown. And I don't know what are they adapting? Are they adapting Akira the anime, or are they adapting Akira the manga?
Right.
The manga. And the article that's on here right now that I just pulled up that came out 9 hours ago says Leonardo DiCaprio as Akira, because he apparently bought the rights to it because he loves it.
He bought the rights to Akira?
Yeah, to start shooting. He's owned it for 10, 15 years.
So when they were talking about shooting, it was Leo's.
It's always been Leo's thing, yeah.
Oh shit.
To begin shooting in the U.S. state in California after scoring $18.5 million in tax credits from California. It's entirely going to be shot in California.
Of course. $18 million in tax credit? Come on.
71 days of shooting.
That's it?
Yep.
That's it?
Yeah, and apparently Thor Ragnarok director is still attached to it.
70... So
Taika Waititi, if that's how you pronounce his name.
Basically like 2 months and change of shooting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Does that tip? I mean, I've never been on like a major shoot. That seems like not enough time to tell that story.
Yeah.
Am I tripping?
The story that I want told? No. Because the story I want told, I don't even want a movie. I want a Netflix series where basically you take like a 30 or 20 part Netflix series where every episode's about an hour long, and you go through the entire manga. And halfway through, you hit that kind of apocalyptic point where Akira blows up whatever city we're in. I would prefer Tokyo, and then the second half of the series happens after that.
You know anybody from Japan?
Not yet.
I was gonna say, because you should write that shit.
I literally have on this computer. On this computer, I have the first 5 pages of me adapting.
Really?
Yeah. I started doing it. Like
send me that shit. Look, we should do it together.
Yeah.
We should do it together. We should do that. We should do it.
Cool. This will be an exercise for me. It's already a pre-existing IP. I know the story very well. It's all right there. I'll write one episode of Akira as like an idea for a Netflix show. And meanwhile, it wouldn't make any difference because Leo still had the rights and this movie was going forward. But yeah, that was a struggle on your part. But yeah,
I'm like, proof of concept, bro.
Proof of concept.
Write an episode. Like a proof of concept, like the way that we were talking about, like Love, Death, and Robots. You write something like a proof of concept, to just prove that hey, it can work this way, and I'm your motherfucker to do it. And bingo, bango, mambo, tango.
What do you think the best part of Akira is? What's the best thing? I know what I'll go first, unless you want to go first.
No, go ahead.
I think the biker gang stuff is the best.
I think for me, it surrounds a biker gang too, and It visually is that scene where they're racing and like you remember that video game from like the early Nintendo, what was it called, Road Rage or something? Mm-hmm. Where it was like a motorcycle racing game and you had to like knock people off. It was kind of like that, but I don't know. I liked that part of the movie the best. Before like right up until the point where he sees the kid in the road and he gets his like blown off his bike. Where Tetsuo
number I should know
meets
this.
number what, like when he first meets the kid on the road and he gets blown off his bike psychically.
Yes.
And that sort of like sets
Takashi.
The inciting action of it.
Yes.
That for me is the best.
Yeah, it's
because you really kind of don't know what the hell you're in for at that point. You're like, oh, okay, motorcycle street gangs in Tokyo, like Tokyo in the future. That's cool. Oh, wait a minute. Science now. Oh, wait, military now.
Yeah.
Oh, like all the things that sort of like fall out of the inciting incident. There is kind of what's the best part for me. I'm not talking. This is just I'm talking about the anime, not the
manga. Yeah. Even in the manga, like it goes a lot more into their kind of gang and their school situation. It's still one of the best parts. I think the best part of the manga is a lot of the post-apocalyptic stuff that happens in Tokyo. We'll save that for another episode. I want to have a whole.
We should keep it rolling.
Yeah,
we have been on we've been on an Akira tangent.
I love it so much, and I'm really worried about this. I love Leo, and
it's so far. I feel like it's so far down the line right now. Like we're not even sure if we're not even sure if they're making it according to what.
No, this sounds pretty sure. It sounds like IO9. Basically, they found out that California had done all this like 18.5 tax credit to film entirely there. But then when they reached out to them, I think whoever it was, Warner Brothers, and they were like, no, that's not greenlit.
It's been a pretty slow news week. Basically, over Apex Legends is kicking ass. Like it is the new Fortnite.
It is. I haven't played it. Have you?
No. I mean, I did actually. I downloaded it and played about. Enough as I could take of it and be like, okay, yeah, it's good. It's really good.
It's really good, yeah.
Because one, it's you didn't play the Titanfalls.
I did, yeah. I played Titanfall too.
Okay, well then, yeah. So it's a Titanfall world, but just with the
Titanfall 2. Like I played the campaign all the way through completion. You know how rare that is for me to complete a campaign. Right. Oh my god. Like I made really sure that this campaign was satisfied, and it wasn't just me that was getting off. And that story is fantastic. It was really good. Like I kind of shed a tear through that story with a robot
when he died or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's like that moment where like I'm trying to remember it, but where the robot like throw me.
Yeah. And he sacrifices himself to
it could have been a movie. I mean it speaking about Robocop, like it could have been a real serious movie. I think that would have been a very good script to write.
Right.
But so I definitely played it, and then I played the online component for Titanfall 2.
It's good. And it was the only online that I wanted to continue play. Like I don't ever like continuing to play Call of Duty online.
Yeah.
It was one of the few online multiplayers that I enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
I didn't mind because it was.
I always tried to get you on them.
It was so different. The aspect of being able to fight inside of a mech and outside of a mech and still feel like you could take down a mech outside of it.
Yes,
if you were smart enough, if you were good enough, you could. All of that stuff was still applicable, even if you weren't in like a fully realized mech.
Yes.
So it made a lot of the gameplay fun and interesting. Like I still have it at the house. I don't know if those servers are worth a damn right now. I don't know
I'm sure they're fine. I mean, a lot of these servers last for a long time. Like
I might jump back in. It was such a fun game. I'm amiss to think that they're not going to be making a third version.
Yeah,
that's what I heard. I don't know. Either.
It did not.
I thought it was successful. It was a successful.
It was critically successful. It did not sell a ton.
Really?
And when you're at Marshall's to buy your kid's shoes, and it's there on the shelf for $7.
You saw it at Marshall's for $7?
That something's going on.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Marshall's, which doesn't even sell video games.
I was going to say, I was like, how is that even possible? Marshall's is a clothing store. How is that even, they get the rights to that?
I won't jump back into an online game until I have either a lot more depression or
speaking
free time.
about, that's a little bit more of the news is what I was kind of segueing into is Anthem and how Anthem is like, it's literally been out for maybe 2 months, a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And almost everything about it, like, subsequently has been like, bruh, 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 bruh. All of it.
There's a serious article on Kotaku about Anthem and all the problems that it went through, and basically about BioWare and how
it kind of indicts the whole BioWare team in a way.
Yeah, and kind of how essentially in a nutshell, they got really lucky with Dragon Age 4, right? That's what it was that you and I played because it was sort of like the game to get on the PS4 console when it came out, and it's a good game. But they sort of just skirted disaster with that game, and for it to become Game of the Year that it did was actually a really bad thing. Like, yeah, it sold them a ton, but all of the practices that they put into place getting to that point where the game was finished were very bad practices. And because it became Game of the Year, they, instead of learning from their mistakes, they basically said they doubled down. Yeah, exactly. And that led to Anthem being a huge kind of flop and failure. And why is that important? You know, why are we bringing it up here? Is because this was supposed to be kind of their version. It was actually supposed to be Destiny. If you read the article, they were not allowed to speak of Destiny, but a lot of the people making the game realized, oh, we're making Destiny. We should be learning from them, you know, and learning from that game. And they
did not.
Yeah, they didn't. It was like, you know, higher ups were like, we don't mention that game. So it's just like,
that's all sad.
Yeah. And what was the other game that bombed from them recently? It was
wasn't it a Mass Effect?
Yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Mass Effect.
Right. So they had these teams,
and it was the only Mass Effect that I didn't play.
Yeah, me too. And even now that it's like $5 or $6,
I'm like I have no desire.
It's probably pretty cool. We should.
I don't know, man. Like based on what I was reading when it came out, and based on like the passion, like it's basically you play those first 3. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, like they told a solid, like this doesn't add to the story. It doesn't take away from the story. It's like its own other thing, but it's not good. Yeah, it's like last gen. So yeah, I don't want to do that.
Two critical failures.
Critical.
Owned by EA. EA also owns Star Wars.
Has to own that.
Yeah,
and like with the misstep with the Battlefronts 2. Yeah, like EA has not been having a good go of it.
Is it Star Wars Battlefront? Yeah. Battlefront 2. Yeah, EA's screwing up, man.
They've been shitting the bed.
Shitting the bed, and Rob's pants.
Not my pants.
I had two other pieces of news. Let me pull these up here super quick. No, get away. Okay.
Get away now.
GameStop lost $873 million in 2018. No, sorry, 673.
Wait. Say that
GameStop
whole thing over again.
Took a loss of $673 million in profit.
Really?
Yes.
Based on what?
Just they're not doing well. Well, think about it. Take a guess. Why? Because I had to read the entire article. You don't.
I honestly, I'm.
Because I was shocked. I was like, "What?"
I'm shocked too. I have no idea what's doing it.
Digital downloads.
Really?
Yeah.
And I hate digital downloads.
Me too.
I hate them.
Me too.
I do not recommend them.
Well, Sonny, why do you hate digital?
In my day, we walked into the GameStop and we handed the money to the teller, and he handed us a piece of plastic in plastic, and we walked out of the place and went home to our domiciles.
600,000 pennies. 1, 2,
I honestly
3.
I want to feel bad for GameStop, but GameStop is a corporation.
Yeah, it is,
and I don't feel bad for corporations.
And they push out every other mom and pop store.
I don't feel bad for corporations
because we were talking last week how we love the people who work at GameStop.
I do,
but we hate the company.
I hate the company. Yeah, because I know for a fact that the people who work at GameStop they work there not because it's a come up and
exactly.
They work there because they need to. Yeah. They're like, I gotta eat, I gotta pay rent. I just happen to have found a niche where it kind of coincides with something that I like and love.
Nobody's passionate about fast food or retail.
Who the fuck wants to work for McDonald's? Nobody.
Exactly.
Nobody's like, I want to own my own.
Exactly.
Not one time.
But GameStop, you can go in and get and see these games and actually be like, if somebody like you walks up and is like, hey, which game should I get? Andromeda or Anthem? You'd be like, neither.
Yeah, you can act. See, I think what GameStop does really well is what Sleep No More did really well. Is they acquire
the play. Yes.
Yeah, Sleep No More the play.
Yeah, just in case you're not
up on that. That's a New York thing.
It's a play in New York, yeah.
Is they acquire talent. They acquire all the right pieces to the puzzle to make what Sleep No More is really good because of the pieces that they acquire.
Right.
Not because of the higher ups or whatever the case is. Not because of the actual corporation that it's under. Like it's a fantastic piece of theater.
Yes.
Based on its who conceptualized it and the artists that they bring into bear to make it happen.
Right.
And I think GameStop is a lot of the same way. They just bring a lot of the great pieces together, the games and the people and whatever. But as a corporation, I have no love.
Yeah, because I have two forms of shopping. One is on my couch where I'm just like, I'll go check the PlayStation Store and see what's on sale and look around. You know what I mean?
Right.
And every now and then some pops up and it's like
If it's something
$5-10
cheap.
bucks.
Right. Yeah. If it's something in the wheelhouse.
Never.
Yeah.
The only full game I've ever bought, and it was just basically out of laziness, was Red Dead Redemption, the new one. I bought it online. Because I was leaving to go to work, and I knew that I had no time, and I wanted to play it when I got home. So I bought it really quick, went to work, worked those 8 hours, came home, and it was downloaded on my plate, which was cool. And it'll be there forever now. You know what I mean?
I mean,
you can never...
or until an EMP hits that fucking hard drive and you're done.
My other form of shopping is going into GameStop and just looking.
Yeah.
And usually going first to the previously owned section.
Well, that's where I live. I live in like. Even now, when I go in and get like if I'm going in to get a new game, I'll always ask, is there a used? Did somebody already buy and play this and bring a used copy back? I always ask for a used copy.
Yeah,
because I don't want to pay $60 for a game that somebody's already played and brought back in the time it took me to realize that the game was out.
Right.
So.
They had a really good system for a while too as a member, and I think they canceled it.
Yeah,
where you could buy a game used, and you had 7 days, and if you didn't like it, you could bring it back. And trade it for
something else.
Yeah. And for a while, that was a great way to try a ton of different games.
That's great.
Because I didn't have a couple of years ago, I didn't really have a lot of time, so I'd go and I'd get a game. I'd play it for 1, maybe 2 hours at home, and then I would take it back before that week was up, get another game. I just shot through a ton of games, none of which I finished, but it was fun just to try something for an hour without the commitment, And apparently, you just don't make any money that way.
Yeah, they were like ixnay that shit. Yeah.
So I guess we're moving towards the Google Stadia, which is online streaming.
Yeah.
And more digital downloads via the console that you buy.
Which I don't know if I want that. I
don't.
I like having games on my shelf. I like the ones that I have that I've kept the disc for. I kept them for a reason because these are fantastic games that I will almost inevitably put back in and play again.
And you give them to me too.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's been another great thing about like having somebody with the same sort of access that we have had. Like I've been like I'll have one game, two games will drop in a week, and I'll have one and you'll have the other, and then we can just
switch.
And we've done that for years now.
Yeah, because I almost went out and bought Sekiro Shadow's Eye twice,
and you don't get that with the digital downloads. There's no, and I think maybe that's is that how they're hurting? Yeah, that's probably how they're hurting.
Yeah, that's how they're hurting. I think just more of the business is moving online is what's really happening. It's not that people aren't still going to GameStop, because guys like you and I are, but also that $60 I spent on Red Dead Redemption, I would have spent at GameStop.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
And that's $60. Anyways.
Yeah. Well,
$673 million. So that's the industry shifting right there.
Yeah.
That should tell you.
Here comes the Stadia.
You know what else might shift? The entire superhero landscape with a new movie, The Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch that preview?
I mean, I was going to say that till what we were into this week.
Yeah. Well, you got any more news? We can jump into what we into.
I think we should. That's a perfect segue. I've got no more news.
Sound cue. What we
into this week? Yeah.
Do you like that sound cue that I made? I've asked you every week, and you're like, you never listen.
I never listen.
Well,
no, I do. I actually listened to the longest episode in our canon.
The 3 hours.
That's I listened to that one. And I actually like the sound effects.
That was a rough episode, by the way.
Really?
I Love, Death, and Robots. Yeah. Because I think it was so long. I underestimated
it was over
how much.
2 days.
Yes.
One, that was the other thing. It was the first one that we'd done in that way.
Yeah. Can you imagine a virgin? Can you imagine a virgin, Rob?
She's not in this day and age.
Is beautiful
not
and
now,
virginal. No, a version of this podcast that we do every day, if we got paid.
Yes.
That'd be fun, right?
I definitely could see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would require a lot more, tactical research. Like I like this notebook has slowly but surely been getting filled up over the course of the 17 weeks.
This is my second notebook.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, you take a lot more astute notes than me. You always have like the facts and figures.
Yeah.
You're like, well, this is the writer. And I'm just like,
yes. I'm learning more how to keep that on the computer versus actually writing it down, which is tiresome.
Okay.
Just from a sheer time commitment.
Well, I feel like we're moving to the era of like that voice dictation. You're gonna be like, all right, Google. You know, that Star Trek.
Google Robocop 3 sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Take that.
Yeah.
So the new Joker trailer.
I was definitely into it this week.
I think what happened was there was CinemaCon, and so there was a day where people were talking about it, and they were talking about it pretty lukewarm, like they weren't that into it. And then the next day, the trailer dropped, which was I think yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
And so I wasn't expecting much. And then when I sat down and watched it, I was like, holy shit, this looks amazing.
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She told me I had a purpose to bring laughter and joy to the world. Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
I am reserving like a lot of my feelings for it because it does hit a lot of the checklist for me as far as like visually.
Yeah.
But it's a preview and we don't know the story yet. We don't know what story they're telling, what universe it's in. Like, is this pre?
Yeah.
Is this pre Nolan? Is this like the pre to Heats?
Is that important to you?
Not necessarily, but I'm reserving judgment based on the fact that this is a DC film.
Yes.
And it's it's DC trying to do not like a DC or not like a Marvel movie, not like a comic book movie is what I'm saying. They're trying to do something kind of poignant, and deep, and kind of rich in backstory and nuance and intricate.
Right.
And
Joaquin Phoenix.
Nuance is not something that DC has done really well for their universe.
Yeah.
They don't do nuance really well. But Joaquin's a motherfucker.
They're more like slap you in the face with their dick.
Yeah, they're like that. They're like that scene you sent me last night from that RoboCop spoof. It's like that. It's like shooting penises over and over again. That's kind of what DC is like.
We'll talk about that because my cousin sent me that.
But from what I saw in the trailer, I'm excited but reserved because DC has shown that they don't necessarily warrant that level of trust.
Yes,
yet.
Not yet. No, they don't.
Yet. So
yeah, because there's also all the other things.
All the other ones.
So I guess they've got Wonder Woman, Aquaman.
Those are the two that are successful.
I will throw Man of Steel in there. I like Man of Steel. I'll throw that one in there.
Okay, Man of Steel was a success, but it was not a good film.
I would sit down and watch it any time with you because I think what's successful about Man of Steel, besides all the other stuff that's not successful, is there's a lot of really cool action sequences.
That's what I said. That was the best thing I said about it when I saw it was that it was, in my opinion, some of the best super-powered action sequences on film to date.
When Chris Maloney is like there, pulls out the knife, he's like, "It's a good day to die."
Well, that scene where he's fighting Zod, and Zod hasn't quite mastered his powers, and he punches Superman up that building. And he starts running up the building on all fours, and then he goes from all fours to like running on 2 feet, and then he just flies up the side of the fucking. I was like, that's some of the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Also happens in RoboCop 2, which we'll talk about here.
Okay. Okay.
Through the elevator shaft. Anyways.
But yeah.
Yeah.
You just
So what were you into?
Oh my God. It was like I got back on Monday and I basically went into the lab and just started pouring content into my brain. Like my list is like I showed you the short list. Like that's
Well, read them off, and I'll stop you if I.
Well,
have
I'm
any
gonna
interest in hearing
pick
you.
out the I'm gonna pick out the highlights. I'm gonna start with the highlights, and then I'm gonna kind of dwindle it down to the honorable mentions. Well, the Joker trailer was one.
Okay.
Ultraman, it's worth a look. See.
Okay.
If you're not if you haven't been a fan of those cartoons and
what is
live
Ultraman
action,
on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And I highly suggest it. It's cool. It's a 3D. It's 3D modeled.
How many episodes?
I think it's a 13er. I didn't check. It came up in my feed and I just hit play and I just started watching.
Yeah. Oh, this looks cool as hell.
It starts off. It jumps you right from the jump. It's action filled and kind of dope. And it plays on all of like the standard tropes. It basically like a continuation of the Ultraman from like the late '90s era.
Right.
It's good.
Cool.
I would go there.
I will definitely watch this.
Let me see what else. Oh, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver I had to put that as a standout this week.
Did I watch that what episode? I
This-
watch it every week. I think I forgot this.
This week was the wrestling episode. This was
I
the
missed
one.
it. Yeah.
It's a motherfucker, boy, because it puts wrestling on. Not so much wrestling, but the corporate. Like we were just shitting on. Well, not shitting. We were just talking about how shitty corporations are, and the WWE is one of the like monopolized corporations that is guilty of some shit. And Vince McMahon being the head of it I'm gonna say it right here. Vince McMahon is not a nice dude. Fuck Vince McMahon. Hashtag fuck Vince McMahon. He's not
I'll have
a
to
good
watch the episode, but I feel like that's also what they want you to think about Vince
dude.
McMahon.
No, fuck Vince McMahon. That
Fuck
dude
him.
is not a
Okay,
good dude.
All I need is I trust you enough
that
that I'll
dude is
just...
a billionaire based on the backs of a lot of dudes who he didn't take care of because they're technically not his employees. They're independent contractors. Now, how the fuck are you going to be an independent contractor when you sign with the WWE, you can't work anywhere else? You're licensed to them, and they can cut you whenever or for whatever. Like we were talking about fandom and how important this is what it brings it back to, and how important fandom is. Fandom is so important that for a lot of these guys, like wrestling has one of the highest rates of like their athletes dying young. Like
really?
Literally, like higher than football, bro.
Really?
Good. Watch the episode,
Okay,
and
I'll watch
you've
it.
known this for
I
a
watch
long
it every
time.
week.
We've
just
known this for a
missed it
long
this
time.
week.
Like you can go down the list of like wrestlers who died before they should have. Roddy Piper, King Kong
Andre
Bundy,
the Giant.
Andre. Like there is like a dedicated list, and that motherfucker is a billionaire based on the backs of these dudes' work. And when they get done with them, they just broom them away.
Yeah.
They only just recently started trying to like basically. I'm gonna tie this all back around to a bow. Is like fandom is important because a lot of these guys who, when they fall on hard times, the Jake the Snakes Roberts, they have to. The fans are the ones who come to their like. Here's a GoFundMe to help Jake the Snake pay for the surgery that he needs. Here's the GoFundMe to bury the motherfucker who killed himself in the ring for these months.
Right.
This, it's crazy how rich and powerful this man got to be on the backs of these people who he doesn't give a fuck about.
Right.
So,
but that's also a similar thing. What's happening with the BioWare thing? You get these guys that are crunching their employees for hours and hours and hours. They're doing 70, 75-hour work weeks into this crunch time, and who's really taking home the money? I mean, the employees are getting paid, but they're not getting paid like what the executives are.
And it's egregious. Because like, even in the fact that like, just so the way that some of these contracts are worded, the way that Vince has worded some of these contracts, it's the craziest thing. Like these guys don't like, if they get injured. If they get injured and they don't like they can't perform within 6 weeks, if you don't perform in 6 weeks, the WWE can just cut you. They can just fire your ass. You're done.
Damn.
And it's crazy. Like it's one of the biggest spectacles in the world. So much so that motherfucker Vince McMahon almost got his wife elected to. She ran for a Senate office.
Yeah.
Like, Linda McMahon almost was a senator in Connecticut based on the fact that her fucking husband was a billionaire.
What was the controversy in Saudi Arabia?
Well, the fact that it's Saudi fucking Arabia. The Saudis and their, like, how they get down and the way, like, they were bringing, like, wrestling is so big that it was breaking into Saudi Arabia. And it wasn't in the way that you would think, like, it was about money. It was all bread.
Right.
It was like the Saudis meets a billionaire with no moral, like no reason for like he doesn't give a shit about people.
Right.
Clearly, he doesn't give a shit about people. Watch that episode of John Oliver. There, because he has this. There's an interview that Vince gives with somebody from some network, and it's like one of the first questions. Like I can't even. One of the first questions is like, well, do you think you have some responsibility? And he's like, you should ask yourself that question. That was his response.
That's my response
he's
too.
Like, you should ask yourself that question. And then,
do you want some pizza? You should ask yourself that question.
As it
Laurel,
plays out,
do you want pizza or do you want Chinese? Ask yourself that question.
As it plays out, like they end
like
the clip. They end the clip with Vince slapping the notes out of this guy's hand. He's like, da 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 da. Wow, and he just slaps. Like, this is not a nice dude. He's not a good dude.
I do that in my house too. Every time my kids are just doing their homework, I just walk by and slap it away.
Get that shit out of here.
Slap their homework away. I'm like, what, are you trying to be smart? Smarter than dad?
Multiplication tables multiplied?
There's your fractions.
It's in pieces on the ground. How many fractions is that?
He's heard on this because given that Business Hulk here is a billionaire on the broken backs of his non-employees, the very least he can do is show the same dedication to wrestlers that they have shown to his company. And I know that I haven't really said any of this tonight in the preferred language of wrestling fans. So maybe this will help.
Wrestling fans, you cheered at Royal Rumble. You thrilled at Hell in a Cell. You yelled your head off at SummerSlam. Get ready to scream for something new. I'm talking about all your favorite wrestlers having access to retirement accounts, workers' comp, and family and medical leave.
Did you see that Robocop was in wrestling?
I'm sorry, what?
Robocop wrestling?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Well, it's there. I haven't watched it yet, but I will for this podcast, and I'll put it at the end of the podcast. You can listen to it. What else you got, buddy?
Okay.
Actually, I want to talk. I got the only thing that I can remember. Let me look at my notes here. But the only thing that I watched, and I turned it off.
What were you into this week?
I was into, not so much into, but into Robin Hood.
The new one?
Yes.
£1,000 for the man who brings me on.
We're all suspects now.
If we get caught, they will kill us all.
Really inspiring. Thanks.
You're not Robin of Locksley anymore. You're Robin Hood.
The one with Jamie Foxx?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And it is not good.
Surprise!
The 2018 film.
Sorry.
Directed by Otto Bathurst.
Who?
Otto Bathurst.
Bathurst.
Yep. Written by Ben Chandler and David James Kelly. Anyways, I don't recommend it.
Burp or fart.
It's a fart. But if you're on an airplane,
no, fuck
it's
that.
a slight
Kill yourself.
burp.
If you're on an airplane, open the emergency exit and suck yourself out into the open air.
What is this guy Taron Egerton? He's the star, and he's going to be doing the new. I like him because he's in Kingsman. And I like him in Kingsman.
Who is he in Kingsman?
He's the main guy. He's Eggsy.
Oh, Eggsy.
Yeah, so he's
I
Eggsy.
like Eggsy.
Yeah, he's good. I don't feel like this was his.
Wait, this was Eggsy's Robin Hood?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, Eggsy. But I think that's. He did Pop in 2012. Hereafter 2013.
He's doing Rocket Man.
Yeah, so 2014 was his main gig. And I guess that they thought that this movie was going to be huge.
It was not.
And it was not, no.
It's not very good from what I can.
It has weird contemporary costumes in like a medieval setting.
Yeah.
They use like bows, but there'll be like a group of dudes who like sweep a room, like when they enter like a castle with bows as if they're like guns. Jamie, one of the good things though is Jamie Foxx does get his hand cut off like early on and has to wear this like prosthetic like metal plate over his hand so he can't fire bow and arrow. So he has to train Eggsy how to like fire the bow and arrow.
Okay. And is Eggsy Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I started watching it with Laurel.
Did Laurel like it?
She was kind of getting into it but getting tired, so she went to she went to go make cookies is what happened. And she came out and I was watching, I think, something else, which I don't remember, like Robocop or something like that. Because like I just couldn't, it was there and I could see where it was going, but I was just like, it's not good enough for me to be interested. It's not necessarily that it's not a disaster.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there's some interesting stuff in it. Like I don't think it's necessarily the wrong choice that they went with slightly strange contemporary costumes. It's just the overall tone and direction of it is uninspired in a strange way. And you can tell Jamie Foxx is just sort of like
phoning it in.
Yeah, phoning it in. Ben Mendelsohn, of course, is like is Friar who's the main bad guy?
Sheriff of Nottingham.
Sheriff of Nottingham, yeah. It kind of just made me want to watch the
Costner.
Yeah, the Costner one, which is also not that great.
It's been on my mind for a few weeks now, too. I love that one. I don't give a fuck.
It has its place.
I don't care what anyone says about it. I love that one. That scene where...
Because I'm your brother.
The scene where, granted,
even as a kid back then, I was like, that is cheesy as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. There's moments where you're like, oh, fuck that.
Yes.
But there's that scene where she's just married to Alan Rickman, and then Robin has showed up at the castle to sort of like interrupt it, and she screams, Robin! And he sees her, and he just starts running up parapets to get to her. I was like, fuck yeah!
It's got cool stuff.
Yeah!
This movie does not have cool stuff.
See, and that's that. Well, how long was this movie?
How long was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It felt about 2 hours to 7.
Really?
2 to 7 hours.
Because I feel like the Costner version was like 3 and change. It was like a Dances with Wolves, but
it was not a success. It was $100,000 budget, and it made 30. Internationally,
Really?
it made 82. So once again, you need to make it. You need to make double what your budget is.
Wait, Robin Hood. What was it? They had a
not the Kevin Costner movie. This is 2018.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll look up the Kevin Costner one here in a second. But yeah, opening weekend was $9 million. Yeah, so it did not
make its money back.
116 minutes. Yeah.
See, so yeah.
Anyways,
the Costner film was 3 hours. They told a complete Robin Hood story. And I think if you're going to tell a Robin Hood story in modern day, if you're not going to tell, like, a Robin Hood story, then you can't get away with 116 minutes.
Did you see the Russell Crowe one?
I did not.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I did not.
That was also around the time that he also did the other movie. What was it? Noah. They were both similar movies where Russell Crowe just got... He could just be kind of bloated in them.
There's very few movies that I like Russell Crowe in.
Yes.
Very, very few.
Yeah.
So that was not one of them.
Yeah, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, $48 million budget. It made $165 million in the U.S.
Crushed it.
It made $390 million. So that's why they made all these Robin Hood movies, because somewhere some studio exec is like, you know what? This is it's an IP that we don't have to pay for. You know what I mean? Because
it's been in the canon forever.
It's basically like, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Public domain.
Public domain. So we can just write any story we want. And look, and everybody's just like, look, that one made that much money, so you should make another one.
Yeah, but look who they had.
Yeah.
Look who they surrounded that team with.
So Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Costner is 143 minutes. The extended edition is 155 minutes. Anyways, let's go on. What else you got?
All right.
All
right. I'm just gonna run down this list because some of them are repeats you've heard before. Into the Badlands. They just started their season. They've just come back from their mid-season break from season 3. I highly recommend it. It's some of the best fight choreography and cinematic.
Yeah.
Like they know what's good. They know what's good on film. Like they have a whole scene where like this woman is riding down the beach on a horse, and just what they choose to shoot and then slow down and sort of emphasize. You can tell that this is a very stylized way of doing basically a Shaw Brothers kick out.
Yeah, cool.
I highly recommend. Back to my anime this week. I went Demon City Shinjuku.
Demon City Shinjuku.
You should look this one up. This is old.
ロイ様のおっしゃった通りだわ。あなたには底知れない念の力があるって。
Oh, is this like the crazy sex one?
Not terribly crazy sex one. It's definitely adult themed,
right? Because this is by the guy who did Wicked City.
I think so.
Yes.
But it had one of the best opening sequences for an anime in a long time. Basically, like you get like a black, like a standard black screen, and then out of that blackness, there's these two guys fighting, and they come into frame. And they go back into blackness, and all you catch is like the frames of them.
So cool.
It had one like I don't even know why I started watching it again. I think it just came up in like my YouTube feed, and I clicked on it, and that was the opening sequence. I was like, "Oh shit, what's this?" And and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I know this."
If only movies were like as imaginative as anime. Because some of it is just so imaginative. Because they're trying to get around.
So good.
Because what they're trying to do basically is say, okay, we have these moments that we can make. We can put a lot of time and effort into. But these other moments, like this opening fight scene, how can we do this that's super cool looking, but also doesn't take a lot of work? Right. You know what I mean? Because we got to animate all this stuff.
It was dope. Like, you go from a black screen, and then you hear bing! And then awesome. In the light of their swords clashing, you get just a little flash of, like, these two characters fighting. It was incredible. Demon City Shinjuku, I highly recommend it.
But there's no tentacle sex.
No.
Okay.
No, this is not hentai. Not hentai.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Irresponsible. Kevin Hart's new stand-up on Netflix.
I saw the ad for this, like just on the wall, walking out of like this writing class that.
So it's on a wall. I had no idea it was even.
And I just started laughing because I was just like, "Is this deliberate? Like, are you like?" Because the whole Kevin Hart argument is basically he made some jokes about if his son was gay, he would like slap him around or whatever, right? So like, as a gay person. Like that can be very toxic. You know what I mean? Not just if you're listening to it, but it also sort of reinforces this idea that like it's not okay to be gay, right? Even though he was joking, and I'm sure he would not do that to his son. I have faith that Kevin Hart would not actually slap his son around or whatever he said he was going to do. It was the joke. But the problem is that the joke still sort of reinforces that in society, in reality, right? Which is irresponsible. And all that anybody wanted him to do was say, "Hey, just say you're sorry." And he starts saying, "Yeah, some." And like, what? Just say you're sorry, dude. Just apologize. And Kevin Hart's like, "No, not going to do it." So like the idea that his whole thing is called irresponsible to me is like perfect, but also like I sort of like, I don't know if I'm drawing the line here. Like if I came home, my wife was watching it, I'd probably watch it. But I don't know if I can click on it and be like, cause it feels irresponsible of me to watch Kevin Hart's show called Irresponsible.
Interesting.
But not you.
No, I watched it. Yeah. I don't, that whole thing with him sort of like being charged in the court of like public opinion for some comments he made. It's not unlike what they did to James Gunn.
Yes, I agree.
And he's got his job back.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like...
But James Gunn, the difference was James Gunn came out and immediately said that I'm a different person now, that was inappropriate, I'm sorry.
I understand that, but I feel like at the time when these things were coming to light, it was right around the time that they were trying to get him to be the host for the Oscars or whatever. Yeah. And it wouldn't even have made it different if he wasn't being looked at for the Oscars. Right. You know what I'm saying? You already know how I feel about the Oscars as a corporation or whatever.
Love them.
So for me, like I think his initial like that what you were like like his initial like way to be contrite wasn't enough to appease the powers that be, so then it became more than it was, because at the end of the day,
I agree
his
with that
job
too.
is telling jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm over I cannot stand how much that comedians nowadays have to disclaimer themselves.
Also agree.
Before anything.
Yeah.
So like for him to be like, you know what, fuck you, I'm not gonna apologize for this thing. This is obviously a fucking joke.
Yes. I guess there's part of me that I totally like I agree with that and also disagree. You know what I mean? Like,
well, explain the disagree part, because I understand the agreement, because
I think there's just a version that like you are a public person. You know what I mean? People like people like look to him and for advisement. They look to, even if they don't realize they're doing it, they look to him to know what's right. And so there's people who misunderstand all of what we're talking about right now and say, oh, he's not apologizing, so yeah, fuck that. These jokes are appropriate, and we're just going to keep telling them. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's everybody, and I think there are people who know that.
I think if you get that from what he does and what he says on stage as a comedian, then you're missing the point. Yes, I think you're completely missing the point and the figure of who he is.
I agree, but I think lots of people miss the points, and I think that's. And I'm not saying that like.
Well, then I don't think that's necessarily on him to then make the world better by being like I don't think that's on him to make you know better. You know what I'm saying? He's not beholden to make you know that it's not okay to discriminate against someone for whatever. I mean, because Eddie Murphy's never come out and apologized for his jokes. 20 years ago when Raw was on the air, when he was screaming faggot at the top of his lungs.
Sure.
No one's ever asked him to come out and apologize for jokes he said in the past. So it seems disingenuous to then force it upon this guy because he's now the comedian du jour. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look, it's not. This is not me boycotting.
No.
This is me boycotting one special called Irresponsible
I
because it makes
understand.
me feel irresponsible.
I understand, but I'm just saying, like, if you're going to indict Kevin Hart for some shit that he said in a joke on stage, years before, then we should indict every comedian for that same thing because.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think if there
was how is Kevin more responsible than say your Bernie Macs or your Paul Mooney's?
I think if somebody let's just say there's a situation where somebody who gets enough media exposure comes out and says this joke that Eddie Murphy said, I was thinking about it and it ended up causing me a lot of pain. You know what I mean? It's not Eddie Murphy's responsibility to come out and say, I'm sorry about that joke. But if it got to the cultural standpoint where it was everywhere, and then when they went to Eddie Murphy and they said, what do you think about all that? And he said, I don't care, or I'm not going to apologize. To me, I'm like, why not just say I'm not trying to cause anybody pain, and I apologize for that time and those. I don't know. To me, it's just like it was such an easy fix that to not fix it became irresponsible.
I would argue if they went to if Kevin Hart wasn't a black comedian at the height of his popularity right now, if he was say like a Jerry Seinfeld, and I know this is apples and oranges, Jerry Seinfeld's comedy doesn't involve that kind of thing, but if the shoe was on the other foot, would we be still having this conversation about it?
Wait, if it was Jerry, so I missed that.
Like if Jerry Seinfeld was the guy who had made this kind of joke, and
I'd be a lot harder on Jerry Seinfeld,
and they had gone to him and been like, Jerry, dude, the fuck, and he was like, well, I don't care. I would be a lot harder on him actually. One, because I don't like Seinfeld. Well, I like a lot of his stand-up. I don't like the show Seinfeld. You like it? I don't.
Yeah, me either.
I don't think he's funny. I don't think Jerry Seinfeld is funny. I'm gonna say it out loud.
There's a strange intersectionality, I think, to the possibility. Maybe I'll just edit this out if I say it stupidly. To the idea of maybe black men feeling like they don't have to apologize because there's already a lot of systemic oppression on them, right?
And I feel like, and I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I think yes. I think both those things exist simultaneously. I'm not saying one is right or more right than the other, but like I said, this is not. I will go see Jumanji 3 with Kevin Hart in it. Don't worry.
I think it's 2.
But when it comes to a comedy special called Irresponsible, maybe I'll be irresponsible and not support that.
That's okay. Fair enough.
That's how I feel. I do not judge you at all for pooping your pants.
Judge me. I honestly, it wasn't his best.
Like poop,
it wasn't. Cool. Oh, fuck you and your poop. That's if you're counting at home. I think that's 7. I think it's 6 or 7.
Anyways, what else you got? Let's keep going. We can go. The Kevin Hart episode.
The Kevin Hart was it wasn't his best. This is what I'm gonna leave it at this. It wasn't his best.
Okay,
but it was funny.
Got it. But I'm glad it didn't ruin him as well, because I think that's stupid. The controversy.
I don't think it was ever going to ruin him.
This is vastly different.
I don't think it was ever going to
thing.
ruin him, because I don't think it was ever really news. I think it was just a reaction that people had because we live in an outraged society where people we just got to get mad because it's Tuesday. Shit, let's get mad.
Sidebar: I watched this one little brief segment of Joe Rogan with the guy who runs the Comedy Cellar,
Mhm.
talking about
Louis C.K.
And
Yes.
I realized these guys are fucking idiots.
Really?
Yeah. These guys are fucking
All right, well,
idiots.
I want to.
I don't want to say
put a
any more
pin in
about
that.
it.
Put
but
a
I'm
pin.
done
In,
with-
I want to circle back there because I caught a little bit of I think that very
Yeah.
same podcast.
We still got Robocop to do. So
All
let's
right,
keep
yeah.
going.
So put a pin in that. We'll circle back. I'm gonna run through these, and I don't need you like convoluting it with your tangent. So fuck you. All right. So in order, it went Arrested Development, that new season.
Never watched it.
You've never seen Arrested
No.
Development? Kill yourself.
I like the album.
Okay.
That was one of the first tapes I had.
Wait, what?
Arrested Development, the band.
Really? Oh, really? Really?
I know.
Okay.
I know that. I know almost that entire album by heart.
Okay. All right.
I love
Well,
that album.
go watch the show, you son of a bitch.
Okay.
Justice League versus the Fatal Five.
How was
which
that?
I
Animated?
It's animated. Yeah, it's animated, and it's basically like a very long episode of Justice League Unlimited, but dark.
Okay.
Like,
I like
not
dark, yeah.
like not PG-13, like rated R.
Yeah,
and it's
nice
awesome.
R.
It's awesome. Caveats: it's awesome, but not awesome in places too. It's cool to see like those old Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman models get used and sort of in that because it's in that that ilk of animation,
right?
But the story kind of goes in and out for me. They're telling a really convoluted Legion story, and if you don't know those comics, I'm not going to get into it, but it's definitely worth a look-see. Based on Jessica Cruz, who is the new Green Lantern in the DC universe, which I highly recommend if you haven't been reading those comics.
This is new too. This just came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Jessica Cruz has been she's the most. Her and Simon Baz, who's the Muslim, he's a Muslim Green Lantern, are the two new Green Lanterns in the Green Lantern Corps.
Are we going to watch Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern next
No.
week? Okay.
No, we're not.
It sure have the extended
No.
edition. 2 hours and 34 minutes. Ryan Reynolds.
Quaid, turn on the reactor. I gotta get on my Quato shit.
Look into your mind.
Yeah.
Oh man, we should do that next week.
Then we should. That's a good one.
That's yeah.
Documentary Now, which is this. I guess.
Oh yeah. I know what it is.
Do you ever see that?
Yeah. But they're almost like better than real documentaries.
I had issues with it, but I love Helen Mirren. I love how straight. I love that they got Helen Mirren playing the straight woman.
And Bill Hader's on that, right?
Bill Hader.
That's what I watched. I watched the first episode of season 2 for Barry.
Oh wow, okay.
It's good.
Okay, I watched the first couple episodes of that first season because I wasn't sure if it was an actual. Like I was like, is this for real or are they just fucking around?
Now?
Yeah.
No, it's. I think it's like that's the second season or so.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I jumped in the first. I just started watching it.
Okay.
From the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's good. I like it.
Okay. I don't know how I haven't seen enough of it to make any kind of judgment call. But the first episode I saw, they murdered some guy. There was like literally it went from 0 to crazy town in like a frame. Like it was these sisters, and then there was a body cut in half, and like the organs were strewn out, and I was like, "The fuck is this?"
It's good.
And then the next episode was like a cartel, and Jack Black was in it. It was weird, but I enjoyed enough of it to keep watching.
Seth Meyers.
Star Trek Discovery was good. I finally caught up.
Yeah, okay. And
we can talk. I'm actually interested to see what you thought was a twist because.
I'm trying to think now. Oh, it was the twist.
You were like, the twist, there was like too many twists in the episode. There was a twist and then the twist.
There was a twist to the twist.
All right, we'll talk about it. Just rounding out what I was into this week, The Mask. I went back to The Mask with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's still awesome.
I think my kid they put the Mask on downstairs, Bertrand and Allison for our kids, and they were watching it, and we were down there having like wine and cheese, and I was like, and I love my neighbors, they're great, and we're having a wonderful conversation, but I kept like kind of like
peeking into The Mask. It's for me it felt like something that Hollywood doesn't do enough of and well at its original content. I don't know where The Mask came from. I don't know who thought it up and was like.
That's a good question. I think it was a comic.
Was it? Because I don't
look it up.
like the source material. I don't know where it came from, but it was one of those like we haven't seen this in a movie before, and we're gonna do this in this way. And I guess yes, we had seen like animated live action things done before, but not in this kind of way, where it was basically like a live action Looney Tunes cart. You know what I'm saying? And they paid homage to so much of that just in like the set detailing. There was
based on the comic series by Dark Horse.
Oh, it was a Dark Horse comic
written by Mark Werb.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did not know. I didn't know it came from a comic source. But see, isn't that like what I've been touting on this show for 17 weeks? Is that animation tells the best stories, and if you just take some of those stories and do them with the gumption and the balls, you'll have a hit on your hands. A la The Mask.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
All right. Anyway, rounding out this list, Legends of Tomorrow. I finally finished. They just started back from their mid-season break, and oh my god,
what is that? 4 seasons?
Yeah, this is
good on you for watching that, because
this is it's look, they, you know what, it's bad, but they know it's bad and they lean into it. They are wholeheartely leaned into the fact that this is bad and we don't care. Like there's literally one of the last episodes I saw like they're playing with they're basically masters of time.
Yes.
And in one of their time things, everybody turns into a puppet. So they have a whole episode where the main characters all become puppets.
Nice.
I was just like, okay, you guys know what you are, and you're unapologetic about it. And for that
sounds very Joss Whedon, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
In a lot of ways, it is like Buffy in that tongue in cheek. We know this is corny, but we're gonna go
with it and make fun, have fun with it. Yeah,
right.
Cool.
So so I got back on that. Sherlock Holmes was rounding out the list of things that I was into this week.
Dear God, which one?
The one with
Guy Ritchie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, is that the one with Guy Ritchie? And
it's Guy Ritchie directed with Iron Man.
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr.
and oh boy.
Yeah. I hated that when it came out.
I hated it too, but I own both 1 and 2 now on DVD. Yeah, I own them on DVD. I saw it for like $8 at a Walmart, and I was like, I didn't hate these.
You, the BitTorrent master.
I know.
It
was $8. It was $8.
What? Where did you buy this? Walmart?
Yeah, I forget what fucking state I was in too. It was in some fucking state.
I was hoping you bought it in a gas station.
You know what?
Yeah, maybe.
No, it was a Walmart.
It was a Walmart. What did you really go to Walmart for?
I think I went there for soap and toilet paper.
Exactly.
And I was like, $8?
Was it in one of those gigantic bins?
Yes, it was, sir. Yes,
it was 1 and 2?
No, yeah. It was one of those like one side of the disc is 1 and then you flip it over and the other side of the disc is 2. It's like one of those cheaply made ones.
If Robocop 3 was one movie on a pair of DVDs, what's the other movie?
If Robocop 3?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was thinking Short Circuit. I like Pirates of the Caribbean.
And I love Short Circuit. I love Short Circuit. Even with its problems.
I know.
Even with its casting, whitewashing problems. I love Short Circuit.
DVD mashups always make you you're like, I want this movie, but I don't want that movie.
I've only had a couple of those where one side. Actually, I had a version of The Last Boy Scout.
Yes,
that one side was the original format, and the other side was the widescreen.
Yes,
format.
exactly. Yeah, why would anybody want
the original format? Who cares? Yeah,
so exhausting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anything else?
But no, that was it. That was it for what I was into this week. I mean, it was a hell of a list, but that was. All right, I'm gonna fix that.
Time for Robocop.
All right,
Dead or alive, Rob? We're doing this.
Well, I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
That's as much as I'm gonna.
Yes.
This is Media Break. You give us 3 minutes, and we'll give you the world.
Good morning. I'm Casey Wong with Jess Perkins. Top story, Pretoria. The threat of nuclear confrontation in South Africa escalated today when the ruling white military government of that besieged city-state unveiled a French-made neutron bomb and affirmed its willingness to use the 3-megaton device as the city's last line of defense.
And the president's first press conference from the Star Wars orbiting peace platform got off to a shaky start when power failed, causing a brief but harmless period of weightlessness for the visiting president and his staff. We'll be back in a moment.
You know what's the crazy thing is?
What?
The actor who plays the villain in that, the guy who's from that 70s, Red from that 70s show, I never liked him in it. I know now it's based off of this role
Smith, baby,
of him being in RoboCop. He played that role so well that he just ended up playing that role forever.
Yes,
in my mind.
This isn't really a movie we have to do a synopsis of.
No,
this is 1987. I'll tell you the year it came out, because then maybe you're like, what year did this come out? But anybody who doesn't know the concept of RoboCop is like, if you've never even heard of RoboCop, said RoboCop, you'd be like,
I can put those two together.
Robot.
Okay, yeah, I got
Which is part of its brilliance, I think, that it's just so simple to understand. $13 million budget.
Also, part of its brilliance is the gratuitousness of the violence.
$13 million budget, 1 second. And $53 million is what it made in the U.S.
That's
right?
it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, then it made its money back in then some.
Yeah, it doesn't have international, but yeah, it made a lot of money. It was a hit.
It didn't go international?
No, it did go international. It's just not on IMDb right now. Okay, so which version did you want to go back to the violence that you were just talking about?
Which version? What do you mean?
Because there was a version. Basically, what happened is they made the movie, and then they released it to the MPAA, right? And they were like, it's rated X.
Rated X?
Yeah.
Really?
They made some tweaks based on because they give you guidelines. Oh, you need to maybe take out the part where they shoot his hand. They gave you everything. You know what I mean? They basically turned into a PG-13 movie. But you're like,
I did not see a PG-13.
So you make tweaks and you send it back to the MPAA, and they're like, no, this is not doing it. They did that 12 times. They got 11 X-rated RoboCops.
Amazing. It's amazing.
And then finally, on the 12th or 13th time, they were like, okay, R.
What you can definitely tell is those scenes. Like, when you're watching that movie, there's continuity issues with it.
Yeah.
Just based on, like, going from, like, the graphic scenes to the non-graphic scenes.
Yes.
Like, the editing gets really kind of... Like, if you're paying attention, you'll see, like, the grain of film gets shinier or, like...
So here's how you can know which version you watched or which version, because the one I watched I realized was the director's cut, the one that they intended to give, that they basically that they wanted the whole time. Okay,
the XXX version,
the X version, Triple X. Funny you said that. I have a thought about RoboCop sex here in a second.
Okay,
but when Alex Murphy is getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see his arm blow off?
Hell yeah, you do.
Okay. Do you see him get shot in the head?
Yes.
Where the brains
come out the back of it?
Yes. Then you watch the most explicit version.
Oh, dude. It was, well, clearly because, like, even before they murder Alex Murphy, there's the Ed 209 demo.
Yes.
Where
that goes
the thing
on.
goes and it's just shooting this
blood
dead
packet.
body, and it's literally just blood, like squibs all over the place. I was like I hadn't seen it. It'd been years.
They brought that actor back.
Jesus.
After that scene,
I was literally like, Jesus.
Exactly. They brought
Jesus, and for me to be like, fuck, that's enough. Pull the motherboard.
So they cut 2 seconds out of that.
That's
for the MPAA.
Jesus.
So basically, what you saw with those added 2 seconds into that scene, they actually had that actor. They shot the scene, and then they decided we want more. They brought him back after post, and then put more squibs on him and did it again.
Oh my god, it's just so much.
Whoa.
I was like,
it's like
you have
it's
15 seconds to respond. And he's like, help me!
Yeah.
He's running through the place. Oh my god!
It's like this.
It was
still going,
guys. If you haven't seen it, it's so much.
And you're like, wow, that's still going.
Still go. Like he's literally laid out on a table, like on this model, and the squibs are still going off.
All over New Detroit, basically.
The squibs are still
Delta
going
City.
off. I was like, Jesus,
it's insane. The part that really got me for RoboCop was when he gets his hand blown off.
Oh yeah. Well, initially you were like, oh, that's not so bad, and then he pulls it up, and you're like. Oh, and then he stands up, and then they shoot his fucking arm off.
Not in the face,
Holy
though.
shit!
Nobody ever shoots him in the face.
Until they shoot him in the face.
Yeah, until what's-his-face walks up and shoots him
in the head.
Yeah.
It's... Well, the fact that he was still alive after all that, they were like, he's still alive.
Yeah. Well, I guess he was wearing the bulletproof
vest.
In quotes, right?
Right.
Red alert. Red alert. Red alert. You haven't dismantled your MX stockpile.
Pakistan is threatening my border.
That's it, Buster. No more military aid.
Nuke 'em. Get them before they get you. Another quality home game from Butler Brothers.
But Peter Weller, man, he was
Yeah.
young and pretty in that thing.
They went all over Hollywood looking for actors to do this. They had considered actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they thought he was going to be too big.
Too big.
So what happens with Orion, they released Terminator, and they're thinking Terminator's not going to do that well. It's this kind of like low-budget little sci-fi / horror movie, and it blows up, and it's this huge
This
thing.
is the same Orion Studios who did Masters of the Universe.
No, that's canon.
Never mind.
Similar, though, because they both have like a steel sort of like logo thing that happens. So when they get the Robocop script, they're like, oh, we can profit off, we can ride that wave of Terminator that was a hit, because Terminator turned out to be this gigantic hit, and Robocop's essentially the same thing. So if you go and watch Robocop, the trailer that came out in 1987 to advertise Robocop, it uses the Terminator music.
Really?
Yeah.
Robocop, the future of law enforcement.
They actually didn't have the dun 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 dun. It's good.
Wow.
It's a good little theme.
Yeah, it definitely. They continue it over the course of those movies.
Yeah. So it's Detroit. It's in the future. They totally like predicted this sort of corporations taking over all this stuff.
Yes,
they predicted that
life.
Yeah, they predicted that Detroit was going to go bankrupt.
They predict everything that happens in that movie comes to pass.
Yeah, Ed 209. That's awesome.
Oh my god!
Actually, one of my notes is actual gun with bullets. Like, who thought that was a good idea? This is a promo for a glitchy robot,
right?
Yo. And the movie's so confrontational. Everybody's every single scene is like a confrontation.
Oh well, I mean, like we were talking about like what's appropriate. Like there's scenes in that movie now that you're like they couldn't get away with that.
No, no way, no way.
No.
Security concepts. Bob and Jones. Ronnie Cox plays Dick Jones. And then who's the guy? Miguel Ferrer. Who's
Dick Jones? Who was in the Beverly Hills Cop. He plays a good guy in Beverly Hills Cop. He always plays.
Yeah. So basically, Verhoeven like cast these guys, and I think he wanted to use guys that looked like good guys to make them bad, which was really smart.
It was a good idea.
And Kirkwood Smith, the guy who plays Clarence Boddicker, he cast him because he looked like Gibbles, like the Nazi Gibbles guy. And they put glasses on him. Yeah. Another smart choice, because they thought, okay, this guy, he's not tough. We don't want like a big tough bad guy, because we're moving out of that from the 80s. We're going to give him glasses so he looks smart.
Well, that scene where they throw the guy out the back of the getaway truck onto the cop car.
Yeah.
Can you fly, Bobby? And
oh my god!
Him on the guy. I was like, Jesus.
Felton,
Christ.
no, that's not Felton Perry. Felton Perry's the black guy, the cop black guy. But who's the really bad villain? Yeah, that guy. Exactly. Do that again.
Who has he drops the F he drops the faggot word a bunch of times in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. It's like, yeah, they couldn't get away with this now.
No, Kirkwood says WAP once.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he does say WAP. But according to Tom Segura, that's like white racial slurs are what we can get away with saying nowadays. All of them. Nobody gives a damn.
Well, yeah, because
you've never been a disenfranchised group of people.
Hey, guys. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you WAP son of a bitch.
Hey, that offends me.
You're like,
well, enjoy your
enjoy your cannoli and pizza, you fucker.
What was my thought here?
Well, you actually didn't. Did you watch this version or did you watch the newer version?
Which newer version? What do you mean newer version? I watched them all.
Oh, you literally went 1, 2, 3, 4.
I did RoboCop 1, 2, 3, and then the new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we'll get to those real quick. Nice. I want to spend most of the time on RoboCop because it's
the best. Well, it's sort of jumps the franchise off, but
yeah, jumps the franchise.
As I've said to you in personal conversation, 2 is the best of these films.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay, so Robert Dukai, he plays the Sergeant Warren Reed, right?
Okay.
Felton Perry, he's the guy with the that guy. And
who's awesome.
He's awesome, and he's just so good at being an awful, terrible, bad villain that you're just like, wow. And apparently, like, his last thing he did was 2017. He's still working. He was Detective Dale in Dumb and Dumber in 1994.
Really?
Yeah. He was in. Oh, apparently he's in RoboCop 3. Oh wait, am I thinking of the same guy? No,
you're thinking of the sergeant.
No, I'm not thinking of the sergeant. I'm thinking of that OCP guy.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
We all don't look alike, you asshole.
No, the IMDb picture is not. It's this big, dude. It's like literally a thimble. Where is this guy? Of the Paul Verhoeven movies, where does this stack up for you?
Jesse D. Goins is who played Joe Cox.
Okay.
That's the guy.
That's the villain guy?
That's the villain guy, yes.
What else has he done?
That's a good question. Jesse D. Goins? Wow, he got old.
Yeah, he did get old. That's why I jumped over him, because it is him.
Yeah, he got
old. I guess, this movie was 80, yeah.
Jane, he just started doing TV. He started doing a bunch of TV stuff.
He was Chester in Soldier. God, I really want to do...
You mean the Kurt Russell Soldier?
Yeah, I really want to do Kurt Russell Soldier at some point.
Oh, I love that. I actually love that movie.
Laurel loves that too. That's one of the movies, like, if we do, we'd have to watch with Laurel, or I'd have to watch it with her, and then we'd have to run the podcast.
I mean, he never stopped working. I mean, this filmography of his is deep and long.
That's awesome. He's just one of those guys, just chugging out
chugging
movies.
along, man. Just out there doing it. But yeah, he got old.
So the guy, Basil Polidorus, he did the music. I want to see what else he did. He did Conan the Barbarian, Hunt for Red October, nice. Blue Lagoon, a ton of stuff. Breakdown, Starship Troopers. He came back for a Verhoeven movie. What else did he do?
Yeah, the top things that are coming up for him are The Ugly Truth, War Games, and Soldier.
Do you like this movie?
Which movie?
RoboCop.
Of course. I love this movie.
Yeah, I like it.
I love this movie.
The last time I watched it was probably right either after Penelope was born. So we're talking probably about 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. And it depressed me. I was surprised because before that I probably hadn't seen it for about 15 years.
Really?
And I was like, "Oh, RoboCop! We should watch RoboCop. It's badass."
Why did you have that feeling?
It's so like fascist. It's like liberal fascism in a way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a liberal movie,
right?
Like, we're on the side of the liberals,
right?
But it's so like violent for the sake of violent, and so dark and gritty and hardcore that like. It just sort of almost depresses me. It's part of the reason why, like, I think RoboCop 2 actually has the better comedy.
Interesting.
Like, I think RoboCop 2 is a little funnier. It's written by Frank Miller.
Interesting.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Okay, well, here's the other...
Christia Ward was in that one, too.
Who?
Christia, who is our acting teacher. Well, my acting teacher.
Christia Ward was in it? Who'd she play?
I don't know if she actually made it into the film, but yeah, she... I remember telling us in acting class, she was like, "Yeah, I was in RoboCop 2." I was like, "What?
I'm gonna look it up here in a second. Here, that's so dope.
You should.
That's one of my RoboCop 2 is one of my strangely like favorite.
It's one of the rare instances where the sequel is better than the original.
Yeah, I think you and I are in the minority though. I don't think most people think that
the 2 is better than the original.
Yeah,
well, they'd be wrong.
To me, there's like a reality where number 1 and 2 kind of are the same movie.
Yeah,
it's just a really long movie.
Well, based on the way that they set the world up, like it was kind of a non-traditional opening and a very non-traditional ending. The way that movie opened and ended.
Yeah,
like it opened with this like almost like a vignette or a commercial, and then you got RoboCop, and then you jump into the story, and then at the end, he like the last thing he says is, the guy asks him, like, "Well, what's your name, officer?" And he's like, "Alex Murphy." And that's the end of the movie, and then basically you jump to the second film, and it almost picks up in that very same stylized kind of way.
He seems almost slightly less self-aware in the second movie at the beginning.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Well, very much so. It's interesting because then he becomes completely like not self-aware when they when they have to rebuild him or whatever.
Good evening. I'm Jess Perkins with Casey Wong. Top story: Santa Barbara. 10,000 acres of wooded residential land were scorched in an instant when a laser cannon aboard the Strategic Defense Peace Platform misfired today during routine startup tests. Casey?
Yes, it was a day of mourning for the families of 113 people known dead at this hour. Among them, 2 former United States presidents who had retired in the Santa Barbara area. A day of mourning for a country.
Did you notice there's a couple comic book drops? There's an Iron Man comic and there's a Rom comic, which is interesting.
I actually one of the back when I was like really into drawing comic book covers, I actually drew a really dope RoboCop cover.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the one where or the car's been blown up and he's stepping out of the exploded vehicle and it's just his foot on the ground and he's holding the door of this vehicle. I have a very, very lucid memory of that specific comic book.
Yeah, and speaking of comic books, Frank Miller, he writes the script for the second RoboCop, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back and read The Dark Knight Returns, which is 1986, all throughout that comic book, there's all those little news segments, right? So when you get to RoboCop 1987,
and they're doing those little segments. Yeah.
It's just like, so my question that I asked my cousin yesterday, Dave Correa, who's out in California, who's an artist, I thought maybe he might know or be slightly aware of this. I was like, which came first? Was it Frank Miller who was writing The Dark Knight, or was it RoboCop? Like, who influenced who?
I think it was Frank.
I think it was Frank too, because I think
he had been at the helm of Batman for a little bit at this point.
Yeah, and because there's also a lot of the scene, like the scene where he punches through the wall. That's in Dark Knight Returns. There's a scene where the guy, the councilman, is holding, I don't know if it's the mayor hostage or somebody.
I think it is the mayor.
Yeah, somebody hostage. That's a scene straight out of the Dark Knight, except it's like those two little like kid things that are in the Dark Knight Returns. We're talking about the comic book, by the way, not the movie. So if you're wondering what the fuck we're talking about, it's the comic book that Frank Miller wrote.
Tonight, I am going to maintain order in Gotham City. You are going to help me. But not with these. These are loud and clumsy. These are the weapons of cowards.
So I think the script went through a bunch of different iterations. Because there was also a version where Paul Verhoeven, he didn't like the script at first at all, and so he kind of like threw it away, and his wife finds it in the trash and reads it and says, actually, this is really good. And I think what Paul Verhoeven does the best in this movie is that he keeps it so simple. It's about a guy who gets injured. They turn him into a robot. He basically goes out on his first day, and stuff happens, and then he solves his own sort of like murder and takes down OCP. It's like kind of really just bare bones,
right?
Which is part of the reason why I like the second movie in connection to it, because he gets to ride like a motorcycle. There's like he does like
it's
all
more
the
involved. You get into the family, like they kind of brush off. Well, there's that scene in the first movie where he's kind of trying to figure out like what happened to his family, and he tours the house, and you see those images of him sort of remembering these instances in the house. Like I meant to note, I was like, oh shit, that's right. Polaroid cameras used to have tripods.
Yes, yeah. They're supposed to be in the future. They're also walking around with these gigantic VHS cameras.
Right, yeah, this is the future, but I guess Polaroid still have tripods, motherfucker.
Yeah,
awesome.
Know, how far can you look ahead? Apparently not past tape.
Not past tape.
And now, we need a law enforcement unit capable of meeting the enemy on his own ground.
She's screaming psychotic, sir.
Well, we aren't planning to build a toy. I'm carrying enough firepower to get the job done.
I got good news for you. You're gonna have a chance for immortality.
With great pleasure, I give you Robocop 2. Yes. Things will be a lot quieter with this boy around.
That thing is a killer!
Kane! Let's step outside.
You're obsolete!
Think it over, creep.
Behave yourselves!
So the second one focuses more on family.
Yeah, at least in the second one, you see more of his family. Like instead of being in the flashbacks, like in the first one, he takes that tour of his own house, and then you kind of get introduced to the family in this flashback. But I just heard myself pop.
You did it. See, you did it.
I just heard it because look, I was just eating a cookie, a peanut butter, whatever the hell it is, and it's amazing.
Oh, those! Yeah, my wife made those. Are awesome, right?
But yeah, in the second movie, you actually get to meet the wife because she comes up to find him, like finding out that he's still alive or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know they have this really great scene where she's touching him through like the metal fence or whatever, and
right.
He's like, basically he's still Alex Murphy. He's still the dude, but he's distancing himself. He's distancing himself from this family because he knows that he can never be with them again. There's all these like really interesting things that they do to make him more. I think they humanize him more in the second one than they do in the first one, and that's with the inclusion of the family.
Yeah, they do that in Predator 2 as well. They add like strange animatronics to the Predator's face. Like the moment when he's like about to fall off the building, gets his arm cut off, his eyes go really big. What? Like it's just something about like in the second movie, they always feel like they need to.
How does that tie in with the family aspect of what I was saying?
I don't know, because I'm thinking about because I really like Predator 2 as well, and it has.
I also agree that Predator. I was having this argument with a friend of mine. Like I was saying that Predator 2 was the better of the Predator films, and he was like, "What?"
I don't know if it's better than 1 is so solid. I enjoy Predator 1 a lot more than I like Robocop.
It's the better of those two films because I'll argue this every time. It gives you a linchpin into. Like they could have used the end of Predator 2 to jump off an amazing Predator franchise and tell some amazing Predator story, and they just chose not to.
They fumbled the shit.
They chose not to. It's one of the rare times where you get to see, like in the first movie, you get the Predator, and we're like, oh, that's really cool, that's really awesome. How the fuck?
Yeah.
And then the second movie, you get the how the fuck.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then they don't do any of the what the fuck.
They never gave it to us. Then they gave us 2 really bad movies.
Really bad movies. But then and we've talked about this on this podcast, the most recent Predator one, where they kind of get back to telling a decent enough Predator story, even though it was kind of convoluted with the super Predator. And
there's a connection to Robocop, that Predator.
Wait, the new one or the old one?
The new one.
There's a connection to this Robocop?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically the Predator, the remake one, for better or for worse, is written by Shane Black, right?
We know. We like him.
Shane Black is in Robocop 3. He plays Donnelly, the character Donnelly.
I don't remember that.
And his best friend is the director, Fred Decker.
No shit.
Yes.
Oh, 3 is so bad. The only thing redeeming about 3 is that they build him a flight-capable suit.
Yeah.
Like, they build him like these shoulder pads, like these lock-in shoulder pads that allows RoboCop to fly. That's the only thing redeeming about it.
It's got a lot of good actors, RoboCop 3.
Does it?
Yeah. And so does RoboCop 2.
Well, RoboCop 2 for sure.
But RoboCop 2 has got what's-his-face from Barry. God, what's his name? It's got Rip Torn.
Yeah, Rip Torn.
He's not in Barry, but it's the guy... his handler, I can't remember his name, Schnucks or Shooks. God, I'll find it here in a second.
See, and this is where I couldn't get good versions of the latter movies of RoboCop.
Yeah. Robert John Burke replaces Peter Weller because Peter Weller wanted to do Naked Lunch.
Dude, he was awesome.
Which was a Cronenberg movie.
Who plays Kane? He plays Kane.
No. Robert John Burke plays RoboCop. Kane is that's
Wait,
RoboCop
in 3. You're talking about
3.
Yeah. Okay, right. Wait, why would I know him? What's he in?
He's been in a ton of stuff. He was in, for a long time, he was in SVU.
Oh, okay.
I'd turn it around and show you, but I'm all plugged in here. You know his face. He's Chief Bridges in Black Klansman in 2018.
Okay.
He was one of the good cops, I believe, if I remember correctly in the movie. He was not one of the hardcore racist cops. He was like the head cop. Yeah, the head cop in Black Klansman. You know the dude. He's been in everything. He's unrecognizable as RoboCop in RoboCop 3.
And that's the guy who plays RoboCop in RoboCop 3.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We didn't talk about the toxic waste monster.
Oh my god.
In RoboCop 1, which I think is my favorite part of RoboCop 1. Bob Botton's just so gratuitous.
But see, I think we got to shout out the practical effects.
Yes.
They did, like, that dude looked like he had been hit by toxic waste and he was fucking melting. It was awesome.
And so that guy, the guy who does those special effects is the guy who did John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, no. Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, it's like basically the best special effects
guy that you
practical effects guy for that kind of shit of all time.
It was amazing. Like, motherfucker's fingertips were melting.
Oh, it's so good.
It's
and there's different, like, because when he first comes out, he looks one way, and then when they cut to him later, he's even more
like melted. Yeah. It's rad.
Yeah.
And then he gets hit by the car and just explodes.
Oh, so gross and so awesome, good. And like how
so good.
Even the studio was like, they were like, we don't think you should have that in here.
And they were like, "Fuck you, studio. This was going down." It made that movie.
Yeah,
it made that movie.
Paul Verhoeven made the movie. He didn't understand like some of the slang when like the Goins or whatever Cox or whatever was saying like brother calling the other like bad villain guy's brother. He didn't understand why why another person would call a non-brother his brother. Because he's
Seriously?
Dutch. Yeah, because he's Dutch. He just didn't... Somebody had to explain it to him.
And so I think colloquial, bro.
So I think that really works in Verhoeven's favor, though, because I think he sort of like, this is his break into the American movies. He had done a bunch of Dutch movies that were very good. I don't know what they are. I don't think I've seen. I think I've seen one of them.
It definitely had this stilted, like, I think that's why I like these movies. At the time, it felt very non-American.
Yeah.
In its style of storytelling.
Yeah. I'm gonna rattle off some things. The
Go
Auto
ahead.
9, the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a Beretta. They put it like kind of like a
Some mod
silencer on
on
it. And like, yeah. But it was, because they put the Desert Eagle in Robocop stand.
Yeah.
And it was small.
Yeah.
Because if you see the first scene when the guy gets basically shot by Ed 209, has the Desert Eagle. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Bodiger, when he comes to assassinate Robocop's creator, the guy who creates Robocop, he puts a Desert Eagle silencer almost on it. Like the gun that he shoots, like remember he starts shooting him in the knees or whatever?
Yeah.
Like he puts the silencer on it, and the silencer looks like the end of a Desert Eagle.
Yeah. It's weird, right? Yeah. Whoever they got for like the guns and the armory stuff was pretty cool. The big guns at the end, those are basically just like large sniper rifles.
Oh yeah, those are basically 50 caliber sniper rifles.
Continuity wise, I love how like they're sitting there and they're like blowing like the shops away, right?
Yeah.
And then when we get to like the scene with Robocop, they're shooting, it's just like pew.
Well, no, that's not true because remember he
For
walks
the
up on him
villains.
from behind and then he tosses that little bit of like tin.
Yeah.
And they turn around and they just blow the shit out of this
Yeah,
wall.
but
And
when
he's
they
like,
actually
"Looking
shoot
for me,"
when they shoot near yeah, exactly. Why don't you just announce yourself? Hey guys, I'm over here.
Like
now I'll shoot one guy. I'll shoot the black guy.
There's this show. There's this YouTube channel that I subscribe to called How It Should Have Ended.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like animated takes.
No, what to say?
Oh my god! If you haven't, you should check this out. It's How It Should Have Ended, and they go through a lot of these different movies. And but I feel like that's perfect prime candidate for like how this should have ended. You throw a piece of tin, everybody turns and shoots this way. You go brip 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 brip. Done movie.
Or
Roll
it's
credit.
just like looking for me and like yes, bam, they shoot him. He's dead. Why does nobody shoot Robocop in the face? I don't
There's
get
a lot
it.
of continuity issues in this movie that I just kind of like. I suspended my disbelief because I like this movie.
The RoboCop remake 2014, right? Mm-hmm. They go out of their way to
with Joel. Was it Kinnaman?
I'll look it up here and say, but they go out of their way to mention shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. They do say it like 3 or 4 times.
Well, it's interesting in the remake. Was one of these interesting things is they keep his arm like
yes, I hate
like
it.
this model of him now.
Glad
they
you brought
keep
it up.
his arm, which is interesting because do you remember in the original in the first movie, like when they first turn him on as RoboCop and they're talking about him, they're like, we were able to save his arm.
Yes,
and they were like, and the dude was like, the fuck, save his arm?
I agree.
Like no, bitch, the whole thing, scrap it. We want don't save his arm.
No,
why are you saving his arm? No. And then cut to in the remake, they were like, oh yeah, we saved his arm, and he has this one human hand.
It's just
like,
a hand.
What?
The mechanics of the hand do not work.
It doesn't make
without
any sense.
the ulna and the radius bone. They don't work.
It didn't make sense.
Speaking from a guy who's got like wrist issues, all of this shit connects to your arm, which connects to your elbow. And if you don't have that, it is useless. I don't care about the technology.
I think they did it as sort of a tongue-in-cheek way of being like, well, they didn't save his arm in the first movie, but we're gonna save his arm.
That movie, out of all of the RoboCop movies,
did the best.
Did the worst.
Did the worst.
Yes.
This is the future of American justice.
You need to speak to your son.
Somehow, he's overriding the system's priorities.
The human element will always be present. Compassion, fear, instinct, they will always interfere with the system.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
So they started with, this is RoboCop 2014, they started with a $60 million budget.
They did worse than RoboCop 3?
Yes.
Holy
From
shit.
a standpoint of how much money it lost, yeah, by far.
Holy
So they started
shit.
with $60 million, and it was this Brazilian, I believe, director named Jose Padilha. Padilha.
Oh, we gotta get you some
I know.
elocutions.
Jesus, just give me a class, man, please.
Just out here murdering motherfuckers' names on a weekly basis.
Roberta Herma Rubinson. It's like, why do you say everything the wrong way?
What is wrong with your brain?
The bad thing is, poor little Penelope has either learned that from me or has just inherited it genetically and pronounces things terribly. Daisy's fine. She got Laurel. Penelope got me, and it's awesome. I'm just like, awesome. I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so they gave him a $60 million budget to make this movie, and there's a ton of studio involvement, and eventually the movie ballooned up to $100 million, and they really stepped in and kind of...
It took $100 million to make this movie?
$100 million to make RoboCop 2014. It made in the U.S. $58 million.
Ooh.
But worldwide, it made $242 million. So I guess it did make about $42 million profit.
Right?
Yeah,
But
and then that's not including VHS and all that stuff. But yeah, it was not. But you can't make RoboCop PG-13. The violence and the blood,
and that was my problem with it.
Yeah,
that was my problem.
Because what they wanted to do with RoboCop 3 was they had already had the 2 cartoon series out after RoboCop 2, and in fact, if you looked at the back of I think the box of RoboCop 2, it said they had video games going on. It sort of advertised coming soon for kids.
I played the RoboCop video game in the arcade.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I don't think people were interested in seeing a RoboCop PG-13
reboot.
Yeah,
right.
Or reboot. Actually, because
there was a reboot.
We're talking. One of the reasons we're bringing this up is because Neil Blomkamp is bringing his RoboCop based on a script that was not used for RoboCop 2.
No shit.
So the writers, I got to look it up, but what are their names?
So
Edward Neumeier and I think it's Michael Miner. Michael Miner. So those are the original writers of RoboCop, who, by the way, they're walking down the street and they see an advertisement for Blade Runner, which is like a cop hunts androids, and the guy goes, "What if a robot hunts cops as a police thing?" That's the whole idea of RoboCop. It's basically 2 stone guys being like, "What if it was the opposite?"
I've been telling you, let's go get this money together.
I know, right? That's all it takes.
Together, all it takes is
a joint and looking at a poster and being like, "Yeah, right, sure."
Yeah.
What if it's not a RoboCop, but what if it's a cop that's a robot? Dun, dun, dun. Anyways,
write that shit.
So they had a script for RoboCop 2 that, because of what's-his-face's lack of involvement, Paul Verhoeven, they ended up not using. And that's what Neil Blomkamp
is trying to make now.
It's called RoboCop Corporate Wars, was the idea.
I don't like that name.
Well, if you think about corporations...
Well, I understand based on, the last, RoboCop 3 and how, corporations are, warring.
Exactly.
Back. Yeah, but... Ugh.
Do you think they can do a RoboCop sequel? It's literally going to be called, I think, RoboCop Returns, and it's set 20... What was supposed to happen was, in the script, RoboCop was supposed to be somehow decimated in the first, 5 or 10 minutes of the movie, and then they kind of put him to sleep, and then he wakes up 25 years later. Which pretty much kind of lines up with 2020 right now, when this movie would be coming out. So, what was my question? Do you think you can make a movie called RoboCop Returns, which is supposed to take place pretty much after the first RoboCop, and not have Peter Weller? Because they reached out and they asked Peter Weller to do it, and he said, "No, I'm not interested."
You know what? I'm actually interested Is Peter Weller involved in these commercials with the chicken?
No.
Because it sounds like his voice. It sounds like
It might be.
It sounds like they got him to do the voice work for it.
They might have paid him a likeness. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it just had a voice. Because you could do a RoboCop impersonation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like RoboCop. If you're gonna tell a RoboCop story, I think you have to use the newest model of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one with Joel Kinnaman is sort of where you gotta kind of burgeon yourself or anchor yourself to tell that story. I don't think the RoboCop of 1987 is the world that you can build off of now.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do, though. I think he's trying to do an homage, basically.
And I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't know how successful that will be. At least for me, I don't necessarily want to see that.
Right.
Especially based on you did three movies telling this story in this world. 2 of those movies were really successful. The third one kind of shit the bed, and then you had a 20-year hiatus and then a reboot.
Yeah.
ostensibly. And I think you can't have that much time taken away, basically, and then go back to that world building and that level of storytelling.
Yeah.
I think you have this reboot now. Make changes to the reboot and build your world based on that. That's me. That's my preference. I don't see how you.
That's how you would market it.
That's how I would market it. I don't see how you could make the 1987, those late 80s, early 90s films viable again.
Yeah. Especially without people. Because when you get to RoboCop 3, because I watched them in order, it is a weird feeling to not be looking at Peter Weller. Yeah. Who went on and did the voice of Dark Knight Returns, the animated.
Yeah, he did.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, he did.
I love those actually.
And Peter's an old guy now.
Yeah.
Like when he did that first one, I remember seeing it. I was like, God damn, he looks like plastic. He looks like a plastic Ken doll.
You know what they should have done? Yeah, you know what they should have done? They could have got somebody's body and just did all the RoboCop stuff, and then whenever he takes off his helmet, it's Peter Weller.
Right.
That would have been cool.
Well, I mean, I guess if they're going to do like that world's film now, that world's building now, they've just de-age him the way they do Downey and.
I mean, we're gonna get an Arnold Schwarzenegger here in Terminator.
I think he's gonna be like old Arnie. I think
he's coming back.
I think he's coming back, but I think he's coming back as like gray-haired old Arnie with. I don't think they're de-aging him. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's other RoboCop movies that are kind of made for TV because there were TV shows as well.
Right. There was a couple on Corporate or something.
RoboCop. I watched one called Prime Directives. 2001's right. Dark Justice. I only watched about half an hour of it and kind of got into it, but you could tell they were working on an extremely limited budget. But it was kind of fun. It's on Amazon right now.
Is it?
There's like a villain called Bone Machine. RoboCop is an astounding 10 years old in this, and he's like rusty.
Really?
Which I'm like,
you gotta hit himself with an oil can.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, get like, you guys can't polish RoboCop. No. But what's interesting about the show is that, or I don't know if it was a show, if it was a movie. I didn't do that much research into it. The commercials in it are really good. So whoever was making it had access to like being able to make good commercials, but then the budget for the movie. It shows like it's a type of thing where like there's supposed to be like a rocket that comes out of something and makes an explosion, but all you see is the explosion. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Like the practical effects didn't line up with the CG effects quite right.
Yeah.
Right.
In RoboCop 3, Lewis dies finally.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. She gets killed and like she gets killed and he gets a rocket booster.
Yeah. They do not give her a good
not a good death.
Not a good death. Not for
like,
her.
I was like, yo, you gonna do this character who's been with the franchise for 3 films, and you unceremoniously murder her this way?
Yeah.
It won't hurt long.
Get them for me. Promise me.
I promise.
And then there was the weird thing with the androids that look like humans.
That was the ninja, the Atomo.
Jesus Christ.
I thought the Fred Decker he was really disappointed because he wanted it to be this like this sort of like Chinese or Japanese sort of like kung fu movie, and he didn't have enough money to hire stunt coordinators for that.
And
he's always regretted it because I read a little bit about it because he blames everything on himself mostly. He's like, it's my fault the movie was not good.
Good on him.
Because Frank Miller, once again, they took a lot of aspects from his script, stuff that was cut from RoboCop 2 and put it into RoboCop 3.
I just heard myself do it again.
Yeah, see, you did it. There you go.
I just heard it.
Yeah. I wonder if that's an actor tick. I'm gonna leave that one in.
I think it's.
You just did it good.
Well, now I'm actually being extra about it.
Yeah. But he regrets it. He thinks it could have been a better movie, but they didn't quite have the budget. But some of the choices they made, he takes responsibility for it. In the Dark Justice, RoboCop's son goes to work for ICP. OCP, excuse me. OCP, which is cop, spelled in a different way. Yeah, look at you, learning something every day. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, the only thing other that really like kind of struck me as shitty about the remake that I kind of wanted to mention was like they remake him. They get his wife. This is 2014's RoboCop. They remake him.
It's the other difference.
Yeah,
from the original is that the family was almost prominently featured in this retelling.
Yeah, and so they get her to sign off. Okay. And so what's left of him after the explosion is he's got one arm,
lungs,
one
heart.
Well, yeah. Well, hold on, because he has one arm and one leg and one eye, and they chop all of that off and they leave one hand, lungs, and face and brain.
It didn't make sense.
I'm like, why? Like,
didn't make sense.
Just put a suit. I don't know. I would have been pissed off about that. If they like, I was like, you could have just because they already have like full-fledged like robotics. That's the whole idea. Is Gary Oldman's character like does all of his sort of like amputee robotics, so they could have given him a leg and given him an arm. Instead, they chopped them all up. And Gary's Oldman character,
well, that's what they do in the first one. Like in the first one, like they managed to save like good portions of him, but the guy who like his creator comes in and is like, what? No, scrap all that shit. Put the titanium on.
Exactly, titanium covered with Kevlar. There you go, baby.
Yeah.
But so then when he finally goes back to see his wife and son, and this is before they've really adjusted all of his emotions, he's like not happy and can't stay there. And I'm like I get that like your body's fucked up, but you got this kick-ass RoboCop body.
Yep.
Like, work with the system here and say, hey, I don't want to sleep at OCP. Set me up this thing at home. My kid's here. You can still be a part of your kid's life. Instead, he goes there and kind of has this moment where he's just, like, not satisfied to see his kid. And he's like, I got to go back to work. And it's kind of just this...
let down?
Yeah. But it's like, dude, your kid is fine. Your wife is healthy. Like, you've got to... Like, he doesn't know that they took his arm and his leg and they chopped him up into this thing on purpose. Like, as far as he knows, he just survived a blast and woke up and this is what they gave him. It's sort of like, dude, just like man up and like be happy with this badass body you got and like try to figure out how to work in the system and be a cop again.
Well, it's interesting because I don't and you can probably speak on it because I didn't get to watch the I've seen the most recent one, but
it's like a fall asleep movie. I fell asleep the first time, right? So I actually got into it rewatching the second time.
But one of the best parts of this movie, and I'm talking about the RoboCop franchise, the first one, is the moment where he starts to remember, like the dreams, like when he's sitting in the precinct on the chair and he starts to remember his death.
Yeah.
And like what I was amazed is that like they have literally two guys sitting at computer monitors to monitor him.
Yeah.
And he's spazzing the fuck out like a giant metal man is spazzing out in a cage, not feet from them, and they're like eating sandwiches and talking about their day. Meanwhile, his trauma is being replayed on the screens in front of them. Yes. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And then, like, it's not until he gets up out of the chair and starts to leave that they're like, wait a minute. But it was one of the best scenes in the movie because it, for me, I was like, holy shit. Like, you're seeing a man go through the trauma of his own death and then...
Yeah,
I don't think in any of the other subsequent films do they do that, and I don't remember it from, or at least it wasn't as if it did happen in the most recent one, it wasn't as poignant.
It does happen. They play a song for him. It's like Frank Sinatra, and he starts to remember a moment with his wife. Later, when he solves his own memory, his own murder, because he goes back to the house and starts to relive all that stuff and finds the clues
in the same way that he does in the first movie.
That's it. I mean.
They do a lot of that's why I think this new one was really successful and probably deserved a little bit more love at this. It felt to me in like a fall asleep movie, but also an homage to something that was 30 years old.
It's not the worst thing. I'll say that much.
It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I agree. But
I thought it was going to be a dumpster fire. At the bottom of the ocean.
Yes, it's not a dumpster fire at the bottom. It's more like a dumpster. It's more like
a dumpster fire close to a fire extinguisher. You
right.
Be like,
oh, cool. Oh, shoot, put that out. But then someone's like warming their hands over, like, no, I'm enjoying this. It's warm.
You're like, ooh.
Okay, cool.
Is that?
You got the marshmallows?
Is that Thai food? It's not a dumpster full of Thai food, is it?
So,
a dumpster full of Thai food.
To cap it off, because we got one comment I want to read here in a second.
Sweet.
What is your favorite moment throughout any RoboCop movie, franchise, video game? This is $1 billion.
I mean, it's a couple. Actually,
the toys alone made $1 billion. By the way,
really,
the toys and merchandise alone.
They were so
$1
cool.
billion.
Like
yeah.
what? Like if you got like a 12-inch model, like a Todd McFarlane-esque detailed model of a RoboCop figure, it was dope.
Those are dope. There's like if you go to eBay and look up any RoboCop stuff, it's like those like $8,000.
It's expensive.
Yeah. You can find cheap ones, but like the high line, it's like $8,000.
It's because they were such cool. The character was cool. The figures were cool. Like the concept of it was just so cool. Like a robotic cop. I don't even like cops, but the idea was like, that's awesome.
Oh, sidebar before you say your favorite moment. They had the original idea of him moving very snake-like.
No.
You know? He was going to be kind of like, I don't know.
I thought the acting for whoever got
that's
kind of
that's the slowed down version. Then they got the suit and they realized how heavy it was and it was going to be impossible
to move like a this is a snake version.
Yeah, exactly. See,
you can't see it.
You're on the other side. I look awesome.
He's doing like a shoulder Rita
shimmy.
Moreno like shoulder shimmy thing. It's not.
That's the trivia I read.
Oh my god!
So it could have been a lot worse.
It definitely could have been a lot worse. I mean, I think like I think that they thought they had a B movie on their hands.
Yes.
In the initial we're gonna put this out, and when it subsequently did better than a B movie, they rushed a lot of the other stuff to market to strike gold on it again. And I think in that I for me, it has my favorite moment coincides with that second movie. I'm not entirely sure where. I think it had to do with sort of like the.
I think you're gonna say the exact moment I like.
It's sort of like the. I think it's once they put the old boy's brain into.
Yeah, Kane's brain
into that initial robot, and then the woman is there, and she's like, "Hey,
I need to look up what's her face.
I need you to do this thing for me, and I'll give you this drug." And then he pops out the thing in his chest to like, chicka, 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 chicka. And she's like, no. Yo. And then subsequently, right after that, you see him and it like completed, and he goes and basically murders up a bunch of people in his new body, and that was dope.
Because I think for me, like I love all the test RoboCops.
Right,
yeah, RoboCop blows his brains out. Another one just pulls his head off and goes nuts.
He just pulls his he takes his helmet off, but it's his whole head. Yeah, that was pretty gnarly.
OCP is proud to present the future of urban pacification. Robocop 2.
So what are we looking up? Christia Ward here, real quick.
Yeah, look up Christia Ward, RoboCop 2.
Christia.
Let's see if she was telling the truth about that.
She's lying. It says producer. There's a lot of. This is gonna take forever.
Well, cast of
let's see. Hold on.
RoboCop 2, IMDb.
Because I think while I'm doing this, the thing about RoboCop 2 is it really just expands. Like you get him on a motorcycle, you get all these weird like RoboCops doing weird stuff. You get like Elvis in a little glass case,
Right.
It's bizarre.
It's bizarre and on brand if you think about like the like Detroit self-destructing, owned the cops being owned by a corporation and a shady one at that. It plays out almost exactly like we said earlier in the way that it kind of played out in the actual Detroit.
Yes.
With the corruption and the what have you.
This is I can't find her on here.
Word?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, she's
a liar.
She may have been telling us.
Why would anybody? I would lie about being in RoboCop 2. Yeah, I was totally in RoboCop 2.
Well, and to her credit, she said she didn't actually make it to the final film, but she was in the movie before they cut it up.
Because actually they cut a lot of Frank Miller stuff, so that she was probably a character that Frank Miller had written, which is cool, man. That's cool.
I like the moment where he faces down Kane on the Harley.
Yeah,
and they go, man, and he basically hits it.
Remember when he's like standing up on the Harley? It's so cool. Oh my god.
Yo,
we should just call this podcast just so cool. We're just talking about things so
So
cool.
cool.
So cool, you guys. All right.
Honestly, we should have a segment called "So Cool."
We got 4 minutes. We gotta go pick up the kids. But I got one comment.
All right.
And this comes from Lady Nerd 1. She's back.
That's my girl.
Little loving early in the morning. Come.
She says this is about last week's episode. There is actually a Jurassic Park play called "Hold On to Your Butts."
Wait, I know the play.
And it has a Yui connection.
Yeah, I mean that's all those Yui cats.
Nika Bell,
who
was in it, graduated from Yui. I went and saw it when I was in Indy.
It's awesome.
When it was in Indy, it was very funny 2-man play.
It's in Indy now?
It was.
Dude,
it was.
I remember when it was sort of like they were just doing it in black boxes here in New York City. Yeah. And they have 2 of them. They have Hold On to Your Butts, and there's another one where they do in this same way. Oh, what the fuck is it called? Anyway, the cat Nika Biel, he's a beast. I think he's a part of a Broken Box Mime troupe now.
Okay.
So like he's been doing this thing for a while. Like I'm trying to remember.
Let's get him on the show.
We
should get him to talk about his play on the show.
Oh my God, what is it? It's Hold On to Your Butts, and he does another like shot for shot version of some other thing. I can't remember the name, but the boy's on point. He's good.
She says, and this is about the video that I went on for 20 minutes talking about. This is a twist for me. I did not realize. Remember the video about the 4 guys?
We didn't. Speaking of video, we didn't even talk about the video that you sent me, and you might have to edit that out.
What was that? Was that a fart?
Yeah, that was me.
Yes,
that was me. Farting.
We've got our first. I'm gonna find the audio of that and ramp it up.
Speaking of video, we didn't even talk about the video. Speaking of video, we didn't even talk about the video. Speaking of video, we didn't even talk about the video.
No, so the cousins who were being robbed in the gas station are actually from Indiana.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And so I looked it up, and there's a picture of these guys, and it's actually the guy with the afro is actually white. But the graininess of the surveillance
Can't
video.
have nothing. Can't have nothing.
But the 2 other dudes, they're definitely some kind of mixed race thing. And it was the white guy who does nothing, who's just like this the whole time, who has his hands up. It was his birthday. And they're out partying. So I feel so bad now that I made fun of this poor little white kid who did nothing while his...
I'm not going to die on the day of my birth.
Well, basically his brother stepped in and cousins and were almost shot. There were 5 bullets in the gun.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They caught the guy whose car it was. They have not caught the guy who initially walked up with the gun. It's on last week's episode in the links if you want to go down and watch the video.
I still think we got to give a credit to a dude not just popping that motherfucker. Like, in fact, he had 5 bullets in the gun, and there was 4 of them, and he didn't really put one into somebody. Look, that was a desperate. Yeah, I know. It finally gets you. It finally gets you.
I was gonna buy you lunch. Now I'm not.
Oh, come on. That's because I had like 3 double IPAs.
Just be happy this is a podcast.
The last 2 hours,
and you don't have to smell what's going on.
Smell-o-vision when it becomes a thing. Oh, you'll definitely want some of that.
So another comment, she says, Tim is traveling a lot. This is Tim Manslave 1. And he's traveling a lot for work right now. So that I've been watching all the Marvel movies in order, many of which I haven't seen. Good for you, Lady Nerd 1. And I noticed in Age of Ultron, Tony Stark references the Endgame. And that's pretty obvious. And Rob is showing me a thing. Netflix's live-action Cowboy Bebop series cast at Spike, Jet, and more. Who is it?
John Cho.
Who's John Cho?
From
breaking news, by the way.
From Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yes. Oh, that guy's awesome. Yeah,
basically.
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
From the Star Trek, he played.
Yeah, and apparently his movie is really good.
The one about the
what's it called?
It's something to do with like a kidnapping.
It's not Upgrade. It's some tech thing.
I think it's like a kidnapping thing where you I know exactly what
following or something like that or
stage. I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
We should watch that movie and have what we need to talk about.
But yeah, John Cho.
That's a great cast.
John Cho is Spike. That's not bad casting.
Yeah, and then maybe there'll be like a flash forward and it's Keanu Reeves when he's old.
Mustafa Shakur. I guess he must be playing
Jet.
Yeah. Daniela Pineda and Alex Hassel.
Okay, cool.
I don't know who those
all right. I'm on board. We got 2 minutes. We gotta go pick up the kids. She also says in other news, because basically what she last pointed out was that she noticed that in Age of Ultron, Tony Stark references Endgame, which every nerd knows that, Mary, but that's okay. Harry Potter's your thing. We already know that. She says in other news, You know your husband has been listening to What We Into too much when, quote-unquote, kill yourself gets added to his vernacular.
You're welcome.
She says, don't worry. This phrase is spoken to bad drivers and people who park poorly, not myself.
I said, I hope not. Don't use that at home, Tim. That's not a good look.
And we still listen.
But definitely in the line anywhere else. Like if you're in line at the gas station, car wash, definitely.
We still got 2 basic Starbucks cards with an undisclosed amount. I think it's like one is $8, one is $10. If you were
then you just disclosed it. That's not undisclosed. You just fucking disclosed it.
I'm not sure, though. Maybe not. I also have one that has like 32 cents on it because I used it.
Well, you're not gonna,
I don't know which ones are which.
I think you should flip a coin and send
But
it.
if you send us an email to whatweinto@gmail.com and you are not my sister's brothers, if you're Rob's sisters or brothers, sure, go ahead. I'll send it to you. If you're Rob's mom, I'll send it to you.
She won't be listening.
Yeah, I will send you this card with 8 or 10 or 38 cents on it. Who knows what you're going to get.
Woo, woo!
I'm Lawrence Style. This has been What We Into. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm your boy, Rob Karma Robinson.
Hit us up at whatweinto@gmail.com, What We Into on Facebook, Dial_Lawrence on Twitter, What We Into Podcasts on Instagram. It's been fun. I'm so happy you're back, man.
Yeah, me too, brother. Thank you, man. It's
awesome.
It's been a good long time. But y'all, check us out next week.
Let's go pick up the kids.
Peace.
Peace.
Don't lock up Sting. Lock up whoever wrote this segment.
Lock up Sid.
Sting has been tased by the Horseman, but here comes Robocop, Bob.
Robocop's armor can't be pierced by scissors.
If Sting's being assaulted, shouldn't Robocop walk faster?
Maybe he's turtling. Hey, there's Arn Anderson. He's a WWE Hall of Famer.
And he was a part of this.
Robocop going
well, let's not talk about that part.
I wonder if Robocop will ever be in the Hall of Fame.
With strength like that, of course he will.
Murphy, I'm a mess.
They'll fix you. They fix everything.